Alright, YouTube, this is Mr. Mean coming at you live this Saturday evening. Hopefully this is streaming. YouTube tells me it is. I didn't post anywhere that I was going to do this tonight. I just wanted to pop out a couple things and say hey-ho to everybody. And let me just double check everything here, make sure it's live. Turn my volume down on my YouTubes so I can check the stream. It looks like we're live. We are awesome. So don't need that. We got some cool stuff to go over tonight. I'm going to let me minimize this screen and maximize this screen. Shoo-ba-doo-ba-doo. So, cool things to talk about tonight. Know if anybody's in the chat. Let me just say a quick message. And you know what? Let's get on the Discords and stream it live. If I could type. And get my little piece of software that tells me we're streaming live. Get the stream copy. We'll put that down in the notes. Boop. We'll go here. You know, it's never easy. It takes a little bit of work to get this all done. And then we'll go on MeWe. And we'll post on MeWe that we're streaming live. Give me a second here. Bear with me, folks. And then we'll get into all of this. I cannot type to save my life. It's been I got a full belly, guys. I went to Dairy Queen. I had a wonderful movie night with my wife. We dropped the little guy off at the YMCA. They have I don't want to say daycare, but they have like once a month they do a date night where you pay a couple of bucks, you drop your kid off, and you get to go out for a couple of hours without a kid. And we don't have any family here, so it's nice that we can do that and have a little fun. And we went and saw Birds of Prey, and I have to say I quite enjoyed it. I was a little skeptical from the ads. It wasn't like, I'm super excited about it. But then we wanted to go see a movie that we would both like. And I'm not into like chick flicks and stuff, although there's a couple that I watched that I did enjoy. And I enjoy watching movies with my wife to make her happy, of course. But I gotta say, she knew I wanted to see this, so she picked it, and I have to say I really, really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. Really good soundtrack. That's the thing that stuck out the most to me. The cinematography was pretty good. They did a bunch of slow-mo stuff and stuff, and then of course the way the actress that plays Harley Quinn talks and the way she portrays the character is pretty funny. So it's if you're into superhero movies, although there's only one superhero, and that's Black Canary, who has powers, so to speak. And you do get to see him once. But like I said, it was fun. I definitely check it out. If you're into DC or Marvel, and you like superhero movies or movies about superheroes or whatever, or if you're a Joker or Harley Quinn fan. I will do one spoiler and say there's no Joker in the movie, though. He does not make a cameo. So if you were hoping to go see that, then I want to burst your bubble right then and there and let you know that he's not there. So I posted this in a couple places. Hopefully a couple of people will pop in and say hi. but we can close that out now. This is working. I'm going to close that. I'm going to close that. There's the bit rate or whatever is running a little. Oh, I got some stuff running in the background. We'll turn Discord off completely. That should help a little bit. OBS is recording. It's doing its thing. And to be honest, I don't need to see my face, so we can minimize that so it's not up on the screen. Hopefully everybody can hear me okay. Bob Vecna. Hey, Bob, how you doing? You're not related to the Dark Lich Vecna by any chance, are you? Sorry, I couldn't resist. I'm an old D&D nerd. We got some cool stuff to talk about tonight. I mean, mainly I'm live streaming this because A, I'm lazy, and B, I'm lazy. The nice part about it is when you live stream it, YouTube automatically uploads the video for you and does everything, so you don't have to do anything. Bob, if you're still watching, let me know if you can hear me okay, if everything sounds okay, and you can see me okay, because it's hard. I can fire up my tablet or whatever and try to look at my ugly mug, and that's no fun. But hopefully everybody can hear me okay and see me okay. We're going to talk about a couple different things tonight. I got this I wanted to talk about, and some other things. Robot John. Oh, is it sounding metallic or something? Is the audio goofy? I don't know why it would be unless my microphone is too close to the computer for some reason. Test. It's peaking pretty hard though. Oh, that's why. Let's switch over to that and see if that makes a difference. Yeah, it defaulted to the laptop microphone, so hopefully that sounds a little bit better. I just changed it to the Blue Snowball. I have a nice Blue Snowball microphone here, which I will tell you, I paid $60 for it at the time, about 2 years ago, year and a half ago, and it's worth every penny. It's a little cheaper now. I've seen them at Target for like $45. Is the reverb gone? Like I said, I was on the wrong microphone system. Let me just see here. I'm looking. Make sure all the audio devices are correct. Hopefully it sounds a little better. Hopefully the reverb is gone. And Antoine, I can never say your name right, sir. Coming in 5 by 5. Nice. A nice Aliens reference there for anybody who is an Aliens fan. Catch that. Thank you, Antone. Is it Antone or Antoine? Or I'm a big dumb Yankee, so I'm lucky I walk upright. You're lucky I walk upright. But hopefully that sounds a little bit better. Bob, I don't. Hopefully you're a new subscriber. I don't remember seeing your name. Usually I try to give a shout out to all the new subscribers on the channel. And I don't remember seeing your name. But hopefully you're a long-time subscriber, and I just don't remember because I'm old and dumb. This is also true. So we got a couple people. I don't have the YouTube page pulled up because watching yourself with a 5-second or 3-second delay is very disconcerting. YouTube says that the stream's bitrate is a little bit low, but I don't have anything else running. I mean, I could close a couple of the web pages, and actually I could do that Anthony, bud. Anthony's been a pretty long time subscriber, so thanks, sir. Appreciate you watching. He makes comments on my videos. I appreciate it when you guys make comments. I try to go in and like them, and if they tickle me or I find them informative or whatever, I like to go ahead and give a heart on it. You know, YouTube has their little thing. Bob Vecna says, long time watcher, rarely lucky enough to make a live stream. Well, hopefully I've made all your hopes and dreams come true, and if this is your hopes and dreams, I am so very sorry. I'm also a very bad comedian, by the way, and I'm surly as hell, so I do apologize. So what do we got going on tonight? The analytics here is showing me there's about 4 people watching right now, so thank you to everybody who's watching. Pop in the chat and say hi if you don't mind. I appreciate it. I'm going to try to... I don't think I'll chat too much in the chat, but I'll try to read the chats and comment as appropriate. I'm going to go ahead and close the video portion because it's squirrely as hell, if you know what I mean. And actually, I think what I might do is pop up my tablet. I think that might... I've got plenty of bandwidth here in my house, so I don't understand what the problem is. But what I can do is I can pop over to my brand new 2019 iPad, which I gotta say, man, I love this thing. It's not the Uber iPad Pro. I don't have that kind of crazy money. But I will say I love my iPad. I have an Android tablet, and it's horrible. I mean, and I love Android. I hate iPhones. I have an iPhone for work, so I use that, obviously, because it's free, and I'm not stupid. Let me turn my volume down, make sure everything's off. And what I'm going to do here, there we go. And can I pop out the chat? Laptop chat. I don't think I can. Nope. So I can't. I can't pop out the chat, but I've got it here. So it shows we got 4 people in chat, so that's awesome. So what are we going to talk about tonight? We're going to talk about a lot of crazy stuff. We're going to talk about role-playing stuff in general, and maybe a little bit about my crazy life, and you know, one of the things I want to get, let's get the housekeeping out of the way, because like I said, this will be posted to YouTube later. Like and subscribe as always. I really appreciate it. Let your friends know if you don't mind the talking head syndrome of someone talking to the camera all day or all night. YouTube is phenomenal for that, and this is what we call a talking head channel, meaning there's not a lot of video interaction, there's not a bunch of crazy stuff, it's just me in front of a camera blowing off steam, talking about the thing that I love, which is role-playing games in general, and things to do with the hobby. So like and subscribe. I do take donations to the channel through ZellyPay if you're in the United States. It's baked into your online banking account, so if you have a smartphone, it's easy enough to send a payment to johnpolack@gmail.com. That's P-O-L-A-C-K. Just rest assured that all the money that I get goes back into the channel, so I do appreciate it. I use it to pay for like cool things like you can't, I'm not sitting in my YouTube chair, but I do have a YouTube chair in the other room, and this is my office chair when I work from home. I do want to get a new microphone pretty soon. One of my viewers, Miguel, was awesome enough to send me this super uber microphone for when I live stream my Pathfinder 2nd Edition game. So thank you, Miguel, again. I want to give a big shout out to him on that. And then if you're overseas, you can always use the PayPal Pay Me. There's a link on my YouTube home channel as well. And like I said, all the donations go back into the channel. I'm sorry, guys. It's getting late here, and my eyes are getting foggy. So I apologize. But I had a lovely evening with my wife, like I said. We went and saw Birds of Prey. I recommend it. And then, I was going to close this. We went and saw Birds of Prey. We totally enjoyed it. And I don't even think I have to have this live streaming software up. I don't think it has to be up and running. I'm going to close it. We'll see if the stream crashes, because I'm going through OBS, so the stream didn't crash, or at least it doesn't appear to have. Hopefully, like I said, the audio is coming in okay. What else? I think that's all the housekeeping out of the way. I try to stream at least once a week, not including the Friday night Pathfinder game. We didn't have a game last night due to everybody's schedules. One of my players is in the National Guard, or Air National Guard, so this is his, he's got a 2-week drill. And then, of course, next Friday is Valentine's. So, unfortunately, people have family commitments and stuff like that. So, hopefully, after that, it'll get a little bit regular. And to that point, one of the things I wanted to bring up is we're going to keep playing Pathfinder, but we're going to switch to an alternate game. And I thought that alternate game was going to be Modern Age, because I'm a big Fantasy Age, Dragon Age fan. I love Green Ronin's games. I'm a big fan. I love the game mechanics. And Modern, I haven't had a chance to run it yet. I've read the book, and I was going to run this sci-fi setting of my own devise, my own creation, and it was going to be called Earth 2199. And it was going to be set, obviously, a little bit further in the future. We have conquered the stars. We've met alien life. They're a reptilian race called the Threen, and they're somewhat humanoid insects, very insect-like features with 4 arms, bipedal, 2 legs and 4 arms, so 6 appendages, vaguely humanoid features. I'm gonna write up everything and all that, and then there was gonna be the bad aliens, because you can't have good aliens without bad aliens. Everybody knows that. So the bad aliens were going to be called the Revenants, and the Revenants, what they do is, the way they conquer planets is they do it by espionage and subterfuge, and then when everything starts to go to hell in a handbasket, they start raising the planet's dead, the recently dead, and use them as basically shock troops. They do have a short, shelf life, obviously, because the bodies keep decomposing. But the nice part is they don't have to keep their ships where they hold their troops oxygenated or anything like that. They don't need to keep an atmosphere, so the cold of space doesn't hurt them because they're already dead. And then they can basically thaw them out and just drop them as shock troops. And I haven't figured out all the mechanics yet, but that's the basis of it. And the human race is going to run into the Threen, who are going to help alleviate, cancer and, all the bad things, and clean up the planet and give us new technology and stuff. And then, of course, it's just in time for the Revenants to attack. And the player characters will be a military, almost like a spec op force, and or civilians who get caught up in the battle, and they would be dealing with it and trying to save the human race and stuff like that. So I still plan on running that, but now I'm not quite so sure if I'm going to use Modern Age. I think I might go with something a little different, because, full disclosure, this was sent to me as a gift from my good friend Brian in sunny California. I had heard of this game in the past. I'd actually downloaded the PDF of it, and it's a D6 system. And I'm not a huge fan of D6 systems, and if you've watched my live streams in the past, you'll know I've spoken to that fact that I'm not a huge fan of D6 systems, but yet I seem to own a hell of a lot of them. Why? Because the RPG industry is, firmly grounded in board games and tabletop games from, long time ago, and the only dice they had were D6s. So it just makes sense. But there's a couple D6 systems out there that I really, really like. The Genesis is one of them. It kind of uses almost a World of Darkness dice pool mechanic, but it's all D6s. Dragon Age or Fantasy Age or Modern Age, any of the Age systems by Green Ronin, The Expanse, they all use 3D6. GURPS, I'm a huge fan of GURPS. So, yeah, while I do hate a lot of D6 systems like Champions, not a fan of Champions, never have been, never will be, I don't think. I do own it. I don't know if the camera can pick it up. I don't think it can. Yeah, you can see it down there. There's a copy of that big spiral bound right above the cardboard there. But Brian had reached out to me, I think Wednesday or Thursday last week, and asked me if I had heard of a game system by Russ Morrissey called What's Old is New, or WION, WOIN, What's Old is New. And I said, yeah, I heard of it. I have the new book, I think. Yeah, I have the new What's Old is New book, I think version 1.0. And he's like, well, Bubba, you've got version 1.2 coming. So I was like, cool, pretty excited. And I think I even printed it, a couple years back. And I was pretty excited about it. Brian is a good, dear friend of mine. I've known him for, gosh, got to be going on 30 years. He's an amazing guy. He's been there for me through thick and thin. I call him brother. He's like a little brother to me. He's very well to do. His life has taken him on a great journey, and he's just a beautiful human being. And Bri, if you're watching or you're listening, I love you, man. And I just want you to know that. He's been there for me through a lot of stuff, and I like to think that I've been there for him. But enough with the mushy shit. I want to just point out that he said, hey, there's a package coming. So I expected a copy of, new, What's Old is New. I expected a copy. This is the digest size, and I don't know what it retails for. There's no price on here. I don't know if it's $10 or $20 because it was sent as a gift, so there was no price tag, and I think it's rude to go look on Amazon and see how much he paid for it. But I know, it's not terribly expensive, but it's still not cheap. It's a product. He paid for it out of the goodness of his heart, and he sent it to me. And I'm not going to lie, I got shitty eyes. I wear bifocals. I read stuff all day long. I'm in the IT industry, and I got to tell you, these books are small, this digest size, but man, I love them. I love this. It's pocket size damn near, and it's easy enough to throw in a backpack and take it with you. I'm going to bring this with me to work so I can read on my lunch hour. And I think this is going to be my back. I'm going to use the same setting that I was just talking about, but I'm going to use these mechanics, and it's a dice pool. It's a dice pool system. You set a target number, you add a stat and a skill, and any advantages, talents, or anything, and then you roll that many d6s, and based on your level, depends on how many dice you get to roll. And I think the beginning character, the dice pool max is 5 dice. So, you can get an extra dice for having a specific piece of gear, like you're trying to pick locks. So if you have a lock pick set or an electronic lock pick or key card, that's a +1 die. If the guards are shooting at you from across the hall, that might be a -1 die. So you'll add or remove dice to your dice pool, and then you roll looking for a target number that the GM assigns. And you add all the dice up. So very cool. And as you level up in the game, your dice pool is allowed to get bigger. So I don't know if you guys have heard of this, What's Old is New. I thought they only had this book. Well, when I got the package, it was a little bit bigger than I thought it should be, because I thought maybe there was an 8.5 by 11 book, or a digest size, and of course this is the digest size. And I was like, cool. Well, then I opened the package, and then there's What's Old is New now. Well, version 1.2, this is the latest version, digest again. This is modern roleplay. So I was going to use the modern age rules for a sci-fi game. So, wow, I could use this, right? Cool. Okay, no problem there. We can totally do that. But then again, I got the sci-fi rules. So I'm like, well, I've got sci-fi rules. It's going to be a sci-fi game. Might as well use sci-fi rules. So I think I'm going to use these rules. But I was pretty excited about it. And then there's a fantasy set. So I don't know how much Brian paid for these. I'm going to assume somewhere around maybe $50. A little more, a little less. But you get 3 books. I think the fantasy one is up to version 1.2. I think this is the original version, but it's totally usable. And I just started reading it today, and I can tell you it's a good read. This Russ Morrissey guy seems to write fairly well, and I enjoy his style. I read his foreword for the fantasy, and I like it. I like where his mind's going. So, pretty excited about this. I don't know if you guys have heard of this. I'm getting notices. I apologize. Hopefully you didn't hear that. I don't know if you guys have heard of What's Old is New. Have you played it? Let me know. If you're in the chat, post up. I'm pretty excited about this. I love the layout of the books. They're black and white, but the art's fantastic, man. I'm trying to see if I can find a good picture here. Yeah, there's a good one. I don't know if this is royalty-free art or if he commissioned art. I'm assuming he commissioned art for it. But the fantasy book is pretty rock solid, man. I like how they do things. Like I said, it appears to be really well written. We'll see how the mechanics play. I'm going to run it by my players and see what they think. Eldred Wolfsbane. Boy, I know that name. So, wow, some old guy talking about gaming. It's some neat stuff. Plus, it's on Bundle of Holding right now. Oh, that's pretty good, Vecna. I didn't know that. What is old and new about? Well, there, buddy, Eldred, it's whatever you want it to be. You're just tuning in, but there's a fantasy version, there's a modern version, and there's a sci-fi version. So you can play pretty much whatever you want to play. D6 pool system. I'm going to do a more in-depth, comprehensive review of it after I've had a little time to digest it and read it. And the other thing I wanted to talk about is one of my players, Bobby, who is also the system. Eldred is a D6 pool system. It's its own system. You do some attributes, some skills. They provide certain amount of dice, and then you have you can get dice from having the right tools or talents in the game. And you add dice, and then based on your level dictates how many dice you can roll. I believe there's a free primer on their website. I'll put notes down in the doobly-doo, and that should hopefully fill you in. But getting back to my Pathfinder game, we use battle mats and we use miniatures. I use flat plastic miniatures. I'm a big fan of their work, just because it's easy to deal with and everything. And Bobby had sent me a link to this like battle mat made for like D&D games. We those of us that have been around this gaming thing for a hot minute refer to most RPGs as D&D because it's what everybody understands. The non-layman understand, or the non-gamer understands when you say, if you say, I play What's Old is New, they're like, what the hell is that? But if you say, I play D&D, they go, oh yeah. So he found something, and it was on Kickstarter, and I remember seeing it, a year or two ago, and it didn't click to me because I was like, meh. And then I saw my friend Bobby sent me the link, and I was looking at it online. I was like, oh my God, that is super cool. So I reached out to the company. The company's called PWorks, P as in Papa, and then Works, WORKS. And they are I forgot where they're from now, darn it. Belgium, I think it was, or geez, now it's gonna just drive me nuts, and I don't think there's anything in here. There's not. I forgot where they're from, guys, but they're overseas. You can find their website at pworkswargames.com. I don't even know how much these are. But I reached out to the company and I said, hey, I run a small YouTube channel. I focus on tabletop RPGs and some miniature gaming. Do you have any demo copies you could send me? Because I looked at their previous Kickstarter, and they were saying, hey, if you're a YouTuber or you run a game store, reach out to us. We'll send you a couple demos. And so I thought, well, it's been like 2 years. Maybe they've got them laying around. I fully expected it to be banged up, beaten up. Well, they got back to me, and the cool part was they said, it's the end of the year. This was back at the end of the year, and they said we don't have any more promo copies, but if you're willing to pay the shipping, because our budget's pretty tight, they're a bunch of guys working out of their garage, I assume. If you just pay for the shipping, we'll send you one gratis. It's like, hell yeah. So I think it was all said and done, it was $18. And this is what I got. I got it today in the mail. It took a little while. My mailman is a douche, and he sometimes doesn't deliver mail, or he's lazy. And my wife had actually filled out the little form that said, please redeliver. And we went to, we had to go to the post office to mail something for her folks. And sure enough, it was still sitting at the post office. He hadn't even picked it up. So, whatever. Anyway, this is what it looks like. And it is basically 1x2. And then they're dry erase, wet erase. And you can, you just lay it flat on your table, like this. And you've got, a full battle map. And it's got a little bit of everything in there. There's no sci-fi in this one. This one is all fantasy. But, I mean, you've got, little frozen landscape. It's 1-inch squares. Oh, we've got the obligatory lava. So, this, like I said, from PWorks Games, I don't know about you guys, but this is something, you try to lug out your battle mats, you roll them up, and yeah, it's convenient, but then they get all mangled. Or some of them don't take kindly to a certain type of marker, and I like my mats. I love Paizo's flat mats. Those are folded, but then you gotta flatten them, and it's usually not a problem with those. I will admit they were really good, but this is gonna be my new. I'm sold. As a matter of fact, if anyone from PWorks is watching this or does watch this and you want to send me a sci-fi one, I'll be more than happy to pimp the shit out of it on my channel because I think this is an awesome product. So guys, run out and get one if you use miniatures and maps. You want your blank buildings. There's a lot of companies out there now that are also making the static cling, for lack of a better word, stickers that will work with this as well. So you can buy those. There's a couple different companies that are making it. I don't have any right now, but I do plan on picking some up. I do like 3D terrain, but let's face it, it's not as conducive as keeping everything in a binder and just boop. So this is amazing. PWorks Games, like I said, full disclosure, they sent it to me for free. I just paid the shipping from across the pond, and this is not banged up. It was packaged really well, so they shipped their stuff really good. Why did they do a Fantasy 2nd Edition? Eldrad, that's a real easy question. 1st edition was complicated as hell, and they wanted to revamp it. It had been 10 years, and they kind of wanted their own system. They didn't want to be known as the 3.5 or 3.775 D&D variant anymore. They wanted a brand that was wholly their own. What I can't figure out, and again, going to the Pathfinder 2nd Edition makes total sense. I get it. As a company, they want to move forward. They want to draw in new people. They want a new mechanic. They want to distance themselves from D&D. And I'm all down with that because they have a phenomenal world. And the world has stayed the same. It's just new mechanics. But what I can't fathom is why they're still making 1st edition stuff. They're not stopping. They're still going to be coming out with 1st edition. Now they are going to slow down a little bit, but they're still making 1st edition stuff. In fact, I think right now on their website they've got 1 or 2 things that are listed as new, and I'm literally in shock. But they said that from the get-go. That was going to be their plan. They were going to release. Keep releasing stuff for Pathfinder 1st Edition because they have a huge following. And they have a huge following for 2nd Edition. I was not a huge fan of 1st Edition. And in fact, if you remember in those days of Lake Charles when you were still working at that hotel, we tried to run a Pathfinder 1st Edition game, and it just never got off the ground because it was complicated and people's schedules and this and that and everything else. And I moved away. But yeah, the whole point was to keep 3E. No, the whole point was to make a brand name for themselves, and they rode that 3rd edition, bandwagon for as long as they could. And D&D came out with 5th edition, and let's face it, when you have something spanky and new, if you're old, you got to do something to keep the attention back on you. And there's a ton of people that love the 3E mechanics, and it's still being played. There's still stuff being produced for 3rd edition from, secondary and tertiary vendors. So obviously it has the huge following is mad. Yes, I agree. But you know what? At the end of the day, Paizo Publishing is a business. And they have employees, and those employees have families, and they want to eat, and they want to, buy a house, and they want to buy cars, and they want to put their kids through college. And in order to do that, they need to keep reinventing the wheel so that people keep buying their products. And that's something that I think a lot of people don't understand is you take a passion, such as tabletop gaming, and you turn it into a business. It doesn't make $1 million overnight, and if it does, it's going to be very short-lived. You have to keep churning, you have to keep working, you have to stay hungry. If you don't, you won't make the money. People will go to the next big thing. I mean, if the role-playing games were so great, I wouldn't have a shelf like this. I wouldn't have 2, 4, 6, 8 boxes over here that are out of camera sight filled with RPGs, because if one role-playing game was enough, that's all I would have. But it's not. And so you have to keep innovating. You have to keep making product to sell, because now that's your business. Dave Arness and Gary Gygax, had full-time, daytime jobs when they made Dungeons and Dragons, and then they kept putting stuff out, and the following got bigger and bigger, and they left their jobs and they created TSR, so you got to keep churning stuff out to keep making money. Obviously the millions of dollars they're making off of Pathfinder 2nd Edition would say that you are wrong, Eldrad, that they should have done a new IP. They tried that with, what's the sci-fi one? Starfinder, right? Yeah, Starfinder, which failed miserably. I was sorely disappointed in it. To me, it was Pathfinder in space. I mean, you even had goblins, and they were stupid. I mean, if you read the goblin entry on their technology and how they scavenge stuff, they should be an extinct race, because nothing would stay working in their ships, and they would just die. But yet somehow, so I know you have to push that disbelief button when you're playing a role-playing game, unless you're playing a very realistic game. But let's face it, there are some things that just don't make sense, and I think the Goblin race and Starfinder make no sense. And to me, it's just Pathfinder in space. But the cool part about it is it did lead to Pathfinder 2nd Edition. There's some of the... You're selling all your games? Well, good for you, I guess. I'm not selling any of mine because I love them all. They all have a special place in my heart. Yes, Pathfinder has made a lot of money. Now, is it in the millions? I don't know. But they have made a lot of money. If you look, they're constantly growing. They're hiring new people. They're getting into the video game market. Their Kingmaker video game was quite successful. They've got a second Kingmaker video game coming out for the PC. So they're obviously doing something right. $12. For 12, yeah. Eldrad says he saw Starfinder in Ollie's secondhand store for $12. What does that tell you right there? So, yeah, I mean, you gotta keep producing content. You gotta keep chasing the cheddar, man, or you get stagnant and people will move on to something new. The one thing that Paizo has done really, really well is they have created engaging, thoughtful, and meaningful content that people enjoy. And aside from game companies like, Palladium, where, their game system is everything in the kitchen sink, but the mechanics are horrible, they're 20 years outdated. I don't know anybody who still plays, Rifts or Palladium Fantasy. They're both great games, don't get me wrong, but the rules mechanics are so outdated when there's better games out there. He's saying Termites ate his books and he doesn't want to collect anymore. Dude, I totally get it. It's not the most expensive hobby, but it's not cheap either. When an average game book now is running you anywhere between $40 and $60, that's a chunk of change, and it can be an expensive hobby, especially if you're a completionist like me and you feel like you got to have all the books. I love my GURP stuff, but I can't afford to buy all those books. Vecno says making nicely priced PDFs of their stuff available is a big plus with me for Paizo. Looking at you, Watsy. Amen. Vecna, amen. Yes, Eldred, Paizo does make top quality stuff. And Paizo's done really good with like their flat maps and a lot of their other stuff. I was highly disappointed in their POGs, their cardboard miniatures. I did a review. If you guys haven't seen that, jump back in the video archive there and check it out. I was so disappointed. I sent them back and I bought more of the flat plastic miniatures. So let's see what else we got going. Oh, I did pick up Aeon Trinity Continuum. I don't have the books here handy. I don't even know where they are. I can't see them. I think they might be out in the living room somewhere. And I'm too lazy to get up and go get them. I was kind of unimpressed with it, man. I was so excited to see that Onyx Path Publishing was putting out, basically a second edition to Aeon Trinity. And then I got them and I started reading it, and I just didn't like the character creation, the way they do their life path. I'm not a huge fan of like abstract, come up with a background, come up with why you're doing this, come up with your bonds and everything. And certain games like Dungeon World, you're powered by the Apocalypse games. Those things are okay. But in a White Wolf game, it felt too namby-pamby. And maybe I'm just a grognard, and it just didn't do it for me. I just didn't like it. I was also really disappointed that when I went on their website, you couldn't even download character sheets. You had to go into the forums and look for the fan-made character sheets. And some of them were good, some of them were horrible. So, pretty upset about that. Eldrad, a friend of mine from Lake Charles, Louisiana, says he just gave Tom, that's a mutual friend of ours, we call him Grumpy Cat, he gave him all of his GURP stuff, which is awesome. Did you get to take a look at the Cyberpunk 2077? Yes, I did. I had reached out to Mike Pondsmith. I've been friends with Mike for, going on 30 years. Because I used to live in California, and I got in touch with him way back in the day. Because I used to run Cyberpunk damn near nightly. We had several groups of friends, and we would get together and play any chance we could. And Cyberpunk is one of my all-time favorite tabletop RPGs. So I had reached out to Mike, and Mike's big time now because he's in partnership with CD Projekt Red, the guys behind the Witcher video game. They're of course making the Cyberpunk 2077 video game. And so I had reached out to Mike through his company website, I can't talk. I'm sorry, guys. I'm tired. R. Talsorian Games, and I said, hey Mike, it's John Polak. I don't know if you remember me, blah 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 blah. But I run a YouTube channel and I review tabletop games, and I would love to get you on the channel and talk about Cyberpunk and stuff. And he has a handler now. He's big time. So he was like, I'll have my people call your people and we'll do lunch. Well, that never happened. But what was nice is they put me on the media list, and I got a copy of the press kit for Cyberpunk, and I still have it. I haven't done a review of it because I'm waiting for the full book. I also got a copy of The Witcher, which is pretty darn awesome. There's some slight inconsistencies in it, but it's a good game. If you're a fan of the interlock system, which is the Cyberpunk 2020 system,
it works. They did some kind of neat things and some twists with the with the Witcher series. And so if you're into the Witcher, if you enjoyed the Netflix series, or you've read the books, which are way better than the Netflix series, but if you've read the books, definitely pick up the Witcher. Eldred says he sold all of his Cyberpunk 2020 stuff. Nope, I still got all of mine. But yeah, you said you were getting out of role-playing games and you didn't want to collect anymore, so then that means you're not buying Cyberpunk 2077. You're contradicting yourself, young man. But I'm just yanking your chain. We love Maximum Mike. Interlock rules. Yeah, they were some good. They were one of the first guys to come out with a stat and a skill and a 1d10. And then there was a lot of companies later on that followed bandwagon with that. Sorry guys, I'm really tired. It's only 9 o'clock and I'm already running out of juice. But yeah, I can't think of the system now. Witchcraft. There we go. Witchcraft and Armageddon. They use basically a variant of that system. The Buffy the Vampire game used that system. A stat and a skill and a 1d10. And they obviously put some twist on it and stuff like that to make it their own. But it's basically, in my opinion, paying homage to Cyberpunk. Mike, and then it's so funny to see Mike's son, who is the spitting image of Mike. See him now, fronting the company and doing everything, while Mike is off. Cody Pondsmith. I remember Cody when he was a wee tyke. Him and my son are roughly the same age. I think Cody's a year or two older than Jonathan. But yeah, good kid. So really excited to see that. I can't wait to see the physical copy of Cyberpunk. I think they're doing a Witcher 2.0 too. I think that's in the works. So let's see. So we got 6 people in the chat. I know 3 of them. The other people maybe just have it on in the background listening to me. But pop in and say hi, guys, gals, please. I'm begging, don't make me cry. What else is going on? Streaming the Pathfinder game. Like I said, every Friday, except this Friday and next Friday, unfortunately, due to schedules. But then we'll pick up after that. And then what we're going to do, I think, is we're going to run What's Old is New as our pickup game. So like when 1 or 2 of the other players can't make it, we'll run that sci-fi game that I was talking about. Anthony says it's 3 a.m. Good night, John. Yeah, all right, Anthony. Take care, man. Thanks for watching as long as you could. I appreciate it, man. Yes, Eldred, I have the PDFs of the Cyberpunk 2077. It's codenamed Red, by the way. Cyberpunk 2077 Red. And I do have them. So yeah, we're gonna keep streaming. Like I said, I got a better microphone thanks to Miguel. That was very kind of him to send it to me. Thanks, Eldred. Yeah, not the 14th, but the 21st. We should be streaming again at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And then that it will be for the sci-fi game. It'll be the same time and the same night. That'll be the pickup game. So when we can't run Pathfinder for missing 1 or 2 players. But I'm having a lot of fun with the Pathfinder. The players have just kind of caught up to the bad guys, and then I left it on a really nice cliffhanger. So if you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. It's just a bunch of nerds sitting around a table chucking dice. It was a huge battle. I mean, it took most of the night. I think there were 10 orcs, the war chief, and an ogre, and then possibly clerics or magic users. The players don't know yet. And an important NPC got killed. So if you haven't watched it, go check it out. But I don't even know how long we've been on. already closed it. So OBS will tell me. We have been streaming for 51 minutes, so we've almost done an hour, kids. I don't know if there's anything anybody wants to talk about in the chat. Feel free to post, and I will do my best to answer. If you have any questions, definitely if you're in the market for some portable gaming mats, go pick up that Combat book by PWorks Games. It is amazing. Mr. Vecna says 49 minutes. Yeah, there was a couple minutes of me futzing with stuff, which I think I was recording, but it wasn't live streaming. So OBS is saying different. I've been slowly learning how to make overlays and everything because I want to put a ticker at the bottom of the stream. Trying to pimp my channel and stuff. We're at like 630 subscribers now, I think, or something like that. So Eldred says, my friend Chris says, my job had killed all my gaming, but my new schedule shall allow me to game once again. Yep, I know that feeling, sir. Life, it's so funny. This is the age-old dilemma, right? When we were young, we had nothing but time, but no money. So we couldn't afford to buy the games, but we could afford to play them, right? Because we had all this free time. And then, of course, we reach adulthood and we get kids and grandkids and work, and now we have the money, obviously, as you can see. We have the money, but we don't have the time. So it's kind of fun. It's a nice dichotomy. I have a wonderful 3-year-old son, and he likes to sit there and chuck the dice on Friday night, which it's a lot of fun. So I'm pretty excited about that, and hopefully he'll be a gamer. I would love to pass this all on to him. My eldest son, Jonathan, has no interest in tabletop gaming. Never did. He played it once or twice. Just wasn't his cup of tea. And I get that. There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody's got to have their own thing. But I'm hoping my youngest son, Norby, will find the joy in tabletop gaming that I have, and we'll have fun from there. And it would be nice to pass this all along to him. I'm about to semi-retire. Right, Chris? You talk so much shit, your eyes are brown. But good luck to you if you can do it, man. More of the luck. I won't be able to retire. I'll work until the day I die, unfortunately. But that's the way it goes. And I'm okay with that because I have a wonderful wife and a beautiful son. 2 sons and a daughter. And they are all amazing. So we live for our kids, for those of us that are parents. Vecna, you are so true. I'll be your adopted son. Chris, I would have drowned you at birth. But I love you, bro. Vecna says, I've always loved in-person gaming, but Roll20, etc. have really saved us. Yes, I am a huge fan of Fantasy Grounds. In fact, I backed their Kickstarter for the new Fantasy Grounds Unity, and I'm waiting for it to come out. I have it on my Mac because they released an early beta, dare I say an alpha, of Unity, and I haven't had a chance to really play it, and we can't talk too much about it because I'm not part of the NDA. So, I mean, I could talk about it, but then they would pull my license or whatever. So, Bob Vecna, you're killing me, buddy. I don't know how old you are, sir, but he says his last words will probably be, welcome to Walmart, can I get you a cart? Mine will be, welcome to Walmart, get your shit and get out, because my wife says I'm Walter from Jeff Dunham, because like anytime I'm in the car I sit like this, so she's like, you're the grumpy old man. But I don't know, man. It's gaming keeps me sane, keeps me happy. Giant gamer house, nice. Chris, I've been hearing so much shit about your house for what, 15 years now? How many years? Send me pictures or it doesn't exist. I got to break Chris's balls. We used to work together at Citgo down south, and then I got laid off, and I had to move because I couldn't find work in the crappy South. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't miss it. I don't miss the South at all. People that live in the South, more power to you, man. You can keep that heat and humidity. I live in very cold Duluth, Minnesota, and I'm very happy to be here. I love the 3 feet of snow on the ground. I love the crisp air. You know, we have sunny, cold days. It's been a little gloomy the last week, but we've had a couple sunny days. Today was pretty sunny. Yesterday was gorgeous, although it snowed all day. So you are Walter. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate that. And I am. Walter doesn't have a beard, though, and I have a glorious beard. But yeah, I just can't do the South. There's no money down there. There's no economy. People are struggling, you know. I mean, people are struggling up here too. Duluth is no winter wonderland, but it's better than the South, man. You're next door in the UP, the Upper Peninsula? Awesome. Well, I'll be going to GaryCon this year, so if you're gonna make a convention, maybe we'll hook up, and I'm gonna try to go to some local Wisconsin. Because, I mean, Wisconsin is, Superior, Wisconsin is literally 2 minutes outside my door. Yeah, the humidity down there sucks, man. Like I said, I can't deal with it. The jobs are back. Yeah, well, that doesn't do me any good now. I'm gone. And I'm not coming back. So, and then the jobs will dry up again. You know, Citgo is a shitty place to work, unless you're Venezuelan, or you're high enough in the food chain. You know, I busted my ass for Citgo, and I saved them a ton of money, and they just threw me to the curb. So I have nothing good to say about them. Some wonderful people work there. I mean, I met Chris, and we had some fun gaming times. But you can keep the South. If it fell off into the ocean, I wouldn't shed a tear. I'm happy to be up here. I have a great job. You know, it's funny, Chris, because I work for one of Citgo's competitors. I work for Enbridge. And they're a Canadian company, Canadian-U.S. company, and I run their IT department. Hoth Rebel 86. Hey, Mr. Mean, great channel. Will you be interviewing any RPG creators in the future? Rebel, I've interviewed a couple. I've had the guys from Shattered RPG on the channel. Mr. James Gantry of Feral Games Inc. has been on the channel several times. I can't remember the gentleman's name right now, but he's from Cracked Monocle Games. He's been on my channel. I had Storm Cook, the author or the artist, on the channel, and yes, I will have some more people on the channel. I'll probably have the guys from Shattered on again because they are just amazing, and if you haven't seen their RPG Shattered, I highly recommend you pick it up. It is probably, next to Genesis, one of my favorite visually RPGs. It is, the art in it is fantastic. It's amazing. James Gantry of Feral Games, he's over in England in the pond. He's a super awesome guy. I've had him on the channel many times. I think we did a 2-hour rant about Monty Cook games and why I hate Monty Cook. Monty Cook is a nice guy. I don't have anything against him personally. I just don't like their business practice. But that's just me. Everybody's different, and I'm a grognard, and I know it. Chris says they threw me to the curb as well. R&R lost their contract. Yeah, well, it's just a matter of time, dude. Citgo does some very shady shit. And, you know, they're a Venezuelan company, so they can get away with it. But we're not here to talk politics or Citgo. Let me see. Hold on. Bear with me one second, guys. I wanted to find the Shattered book. I backed this on Kickstarter. I had the guys from Kickstarter. Oh, and they all signed it for me. So, let's see here. It's from Indie Publications, and Indie is INDE, which means it's never dark enough. Joshua, James, Cody, Philip, Corey, and Alex. I'm not going to say all their last names, but you can go to neverdarkenough.com, and this is a gorgeous, I don't know how to describe this. It's sci-fi, fantasy, post-apocalyptic. It's on a planet called Fenris, and it's after this huge calamity and everything. And it's just, there's all these different races you can play, and it's got some... Chupa, what's going on? It's nice to see you in the chat. No, Chris, I'm not a huge old school kind of guy. The most old school I go is Dungeon Crawl Classic. I'm just not like AD&D and all that stuff. Never. I mean, I played it back in the day because that's all there was to play. But I'm not a huge fan of those old school things or anything like that. I want to get my hands on Hubris because that's kind of a plug-in for DCC. I'm a huge fan of DCC now, but DCC uses some stuff from like 3.5 and 5th edition, but also uses a lot of stuff from early AD&D or basic D&D. Chupa is another longtime subscriber. So big shout out to Chupa there. We are sitting at a big fat 8 people in the stream now, guys. We're rocking. We're killing it. We're moguls now, and the money's going to start flowing in from the sponsors, and I can retire and buy my house in Cuba or not. I finally caught you live. Love you, man. Thanks, Chupa. Love you too, man. Yeah, I've been doing the live stream. I think you commented on one of them, or at least I hope you're aware of the live stream. DCC is kind of clunky. You're kind of clunky, Chris. DCC is an awesome system. If you like old school with a little bit of new school, I don't know. But check out Shattered, guys. They're getting ready to do another Kickstarter, I think. Hopefully they're going to do some source books, and I'll be super excited about that. I'm shedding. When you have this much hair, though, it's not hard. Millions not. Yeah, no kidding, Chris. Let's see what else. I have so many games, man. I don't know what else to talk about. I'm excited. I'm hoping to be able to get Chris Pondsmith on the channel. That would be super cool. But I don't know. He's pretty busy. He's flying back and forth to Poland, working with CD Projekt Red. I'm going to move this iPad over this way, so I apologize if things jostle around. I don't have a lot of free space on my desk here. There we go. Oops. Let me get that back in there. There we go. And what's disconcerting now is I have my live feed, so I can see me, and there's a second delay. It's not bad. But then I have the iPad, which has about a 5, 6, 7, 8 delay. Yeah, about a 10-second delay, actually. And so it's very disconcerting to watch both. But it's on there. So, and it actually looks pretty good. Video's nice and clear. It's a little grainy on my screen, but I think that's the screen I'm using. Let me see if I transfer it over to my other screen. Yeah, it's the screen. It's not nearly as grainy on this screen. So yeah, it's one is a cheap monitor, and the other one's a high performance 144 hertz refresh gaming monitor. You jostler. I don't know what a jostler is. Speak English. Chupa, what are you up to, man? You just hanging out? I know there's a delay, so I can't expect instant communication. What I should have did, I didn't fire up. I should fire up Discord and see if anybody's in the Discord. And there's a way you can do an overlay in OBS, and you can have your Discord chat in the stream. So that's one of the things I want to do, so that I can. One of the other things I want to do is get a moderator for when I do the live stream of the Pathfinder and/or What's Old is New game. I want to have a moderator that will, just getting out of work. Jesus Christ, man, where do you work? The morgue? It's like 9:15. And please tell me you're not watching this while you're driving, because I'd feel horrible if anything happened. I'm waiting for Discord to fire up, so the stream may get a little bit choppy. I apologize if it does. I'm not going to keep it up, though. I just want to check in and see if anybody's posted anything and maybe reply to it. Oh, jostling stuff around. Context, my friend, context. I don't remember what I had for breakfast this morning. You expect me to remember what I said 30 seconds ago? Come on. So for Chupa, since he got in late, we're talking about a couple things. I went over, did a quick review of the... Oh, dude, I didn't know you were from New York. I'm from Brooklyn. And you're plowing the roads. We were just talking about the snow here in Duluth. So that is freaking awesome, dude. I have to be careful. My Brooklyn breaks out sometimes, and people up here in Minnesota, which kills me, but they can't understand me. I thought I had a hard time in Louisiana. I also posted in... I'm on MeWe, by the way, for social media. I avoid Facebook like the plague. So if you want to get a hold of me through social media, then MeWe's the way to go. Doesn't look like anybody's posted anything. Yeah, I would be on MeWe anyway, I would think. I don't think anybody would do anything there. So that's awesome, Chupa. Thanks for making the road safe, man. I appreciate the plow drivers here. Every year I say I'm going to buy snow tires, and I don't, and I kick myself. I didn't know how I was going to get home yesterday because it kept snowing here. They said we were only supposed to get like an inch, and we got like probably closer to 4, which is not too bad. But we had a blizzard a couple weeks ago, and we got, I think they said 21 inches. 18 or 21, I don't remember, but we got quite a bit of snow. And man, I'll tell you, the plow drivers were on it. The roads were plowed almost instantly the moment that snow stopped. Competently good down there in Louisiana. Yes, you do. Oh, 87.90. Yes, sir. That's right, Troop. I don't know if we talked about that before or not. But yeah, thank you for your service, man. Brothers in Arms, Semper Fi, and I was Semper Paratus. I was Coast Guard and Army. Don't ask me what the Army's Semper Fidelis? No, that's Semper Fi. That's the Marines. I don't remember the Army. It's too long ago. But I don't know about you, brother. But my snowplow business went out of... Shut up, Chris, you dork. For those that don't know, Eldrad Wolfsbane is my good friend Chris down in Louisiana, and he just said his snowplow business went out of business. I don't think it's ever snowed in Louisiana. It has hailed, but I don't think they've ever gotten a full-on snow. So Chris is a dork, but we love him. He's a goof. Chupa, I was 12 Bravo when Desert Storm happened. We flew out of Travis, and we were some of the first boots on the ground when all the shit hit the storm. Blew up a bridge, came back. I can tell you for a fact, T-72s don't float because I sank 3 of them. But that's neither here nor there. It's... I'm glad you found gainful work, man. It took me a long time. I had a hard time adjusting to civilian life. And I wasn't even in that long. I was only in for 10 years. We snowed 3 times last year. Yeah, but did it stay on the ground? No. Chupa, we'll have to talk offline sometime. 13 Bravo. Yeah. Big bada boom. Yeah, I was the jerk, dropping behind enemy lines and blowing up bridges. It was a lot of fun, I have to say, in certain ways. Some ways it was not, of course, But let's see what the old MeWe's is saying. So yeah, like I was saying, I'm on MeWe. Hit me up there. You can do an easy search and find me as I think it's Mr. Mean Speaks, John Polak. I try to keep all of my online personas as Mr. Mean. Fajuk Enterprises. I hope I said that right. Hello all. Hello. Fajuk or Juk or Fajuk. Again, big dumb guy from Brooklyn. Level 1 wizard. Alright, so it doesn't look like anybody posted anything on MeWe. So I was just checking social media. But it's no big deal. We keep that going. What else we got? Oh, anybody Necromunda players? I'm working very hard on my Necromunda, guys. See if you can see that's some of my painting hobby stuff there. So this is one of my Necromunda sniper. These are the Palanite enforcers. Being a former law enforcement guy, I had to go with the cops. So they're very cool. I haven't planning on picking up an airbrush here really soon. There is no wrong way to say Vajuk. Good one, sir. Good one. Or ma'am. I'm assuming sir. But it could be ma'am. I don't want to gender specify. But good combat. Comeback, I'm sorry. Big, huge Necromunda fan. I got... I was lucky enough to find some decent eBay and or Amazon prices for some of the stuff. Ooh, for Pathfinder First Edition. Hey, Fujuk, go ahead and talk to Eldrad in there and tell him to shut up. See, people are still playing First Edition. I got the Necromunda Book of Ruin. This is your Chaos Cultist, so super snazzy. I haven't read it yet. And then, of course, I have my Cops, the Palanite Enforcers, the Book of Judgment, and then, of course, the new core rulebook for Necromunda. Very, very super cool stuff there. I'm a huge fan. Played Necromunda back in the day when it was, first edition. Didn't play second edition, and then I guess you could call this 2.5 or third edition. I'm not quite sure how they're referencing it, but really well done. The local game store owner here, Jared, had gotten a box of the new edition, and he didn't want it anymore, so he sold it to me for $40. It's a $130 box set. So was pretty stoked about that because I got a bunch of miniatures. I'm not going to use those miniatures because I have no interest in either one of those gangs, but I will probably sell them on eBay. But I wanted the cardboard and all this plastic scenery that came in the box set. So Fajuk says he just did a character creation session. I've been told Panther is dead on arrival. I'll disagree with you, sir, and whoever told you that probably hasn't played it or is what I like to call a gaming snob. And they do exist, just like in any other hobby or anything. The 3-action economy is probably the greatest thing to hit the RP industry since 3.5. And Cristiano, Gris, hey, what's going on, man? Welcome to the live stream, brother. Eldrad says they should have made a new setting. No, I'm actually happy that they kept the first edition setting and just added the second edition rules to it, because reason being, all of my first edition books up there, all of those books right in there, are all first edition Pathfinder books, and they're all still valid for the fluff and the obviously the imagery and the maps and everything, because they didn't change any politicals, anything. It's still the same world of Galarian. It's just a new set of mechanics. And Fajuk, anybody that tells you that Pathfinder Second Edition is dead on arrival, you need to have them go check their stats, because the game is selling a hotkey. 5e is way better than. So now that's Chris just trying to stir shit. So, and this is where if we had a moderator, we would kick him from the chat. Just kidding, Chris. But I like 5e. I don't like running it though. I would happily play in a 5e game. I just don't want to run it. The rules to me are boring. At least on the GM side of the screen. I'm always the GM. I very rarely get to play. So I'm on the fence there, because I obviously own a lot of 5e books. You can see them there. Or the alternative system. Yeah, man, what a great system. I don't know if you're new to the channel, Fajuk. I don't remember seeing you as a subscriber, but thanks for watching. But if you go back in the archive, I did do a review of the alternative, because I have the Gen Con Player's Handbook, the one that was very rare and hard to get. I was lucky enough to get it. Pathfinder is different. Yes, you are correct, Cristiano. I'm telling you right now, I enjoy the hell out of Pathfinder Second Edition. I didn't like Pathfinder First Edition. I love the world. I mean, the world setting and the books were fantastic. Love them. Just didn't like the mechanics. It was very, the CMD, the DMD, or whatever it was, confusing as all hell to me. I couldn't wrap my brain around it, and I'm not that smart. And then it also suffered from the same thing that Palladium books suffered from: too many source books, too many options, and as a GM you have to be prepared for all of that, and I couldn't do it. But getting into Pathfinder Second Edition on the ground, I did the play test, and then of course I've bought the books as they've come out. I'm able to keep up with everything, and I'm really enjoying it. And I think we've got 2, possibly 3 sessions streamed now up on the channel. So there's a little bit of role play, there's a little bit of combat. Like, I think the last session last Friday, a week ago from last night, was mainly all combat. It was a long combat. What are we seeing here? Chupa, I was supposed to play my weekly Pathfinder First Edition game tonight. Damn snow screwed it up. Yeah, we've had that happen too. The snow's gotten in the way. What's Chris here saying? 3E and Pathfinder was a lot of work. I would have to say a perfect system on paper, but way too much work for a person with a full-time job. Yeah, I mean, that, to be honest, that's just about any game. If you're the GM, if you're a player, the only agency you have is to yourself. I'm just reading Fajuk's here. He's subscribed on his other channel, so thank you, sir. 6 or 12, that's a pretty widespread and ambiguous kind of number set there, buddy. I think my other channel is subscribed to you. This being my uploading video channel, I try to keep the channel I am subscribed to very small. I totally understand that, sir, but I do appreciate you taking the time, and you like my work. Well, thank you. I get a lot of fun. This is my therapy. I found out about a year ago that I was suffering from PTSD. Obviously, my time overseas in Desert Storm and Grenada affected me more than I thought it did. And I'm one of those surly, I don't want to say old guys, because I'm only 52, almost 53. But it affected me more than I thought it did. And it affected my relationship with my ex-wife. And it affected my relationship with my eldest son, who's 21 now. And it's had some detrimental effects on my current relationship with my current wife. And I have a 3-year-old son. And so I'm trying to be very cognizant of my temper and my verbiage. I tend to say what's on my mind when it's on my mind. That doesn't always go well. And luckily, praise be to my wife and bless her for being an amazing woman to put up with all my shit. But she does. And, I can't say enough about, the people around us. They shape us and they make us who we are. And so I'm lucky to have... You are old. I'm 51, almost 52. Thanks, Chupa. Piss off. I don't feel old, man. I tell you, I'm in better shape than a lot of my friends my age. And I'm just getting better, man. I'm just getting warmed up, as Al Pacino said. Fajuk says, I've never served in the military, but the Canadian have depression, and your upload schedule is something I am working towards to help with my depression. Fajuk, that's very nice of you to say, sir, or ma'am. I'm assuming sir. Again, I don't want to gender specify. I try to keep to one video a week, and like I said, this is besides my tabletop gaming, this is how I deal with shit, because life is hard, man, and we're all struggling to make $1 out of a dime. And whatever you can do within the limits of legality to do that and keep your head on straight, more power to you, man. And for me, it's making these videos and chatting with awesome people like you guys and running my games. For the next 2 weeks, I don't have any games, so you might see a lot of me on here. This is my stress reliever. Let's see. Thanks, Eldrad. Chris, I refer to him as Chris because his picture just creeps me out. It's like a really dirty Joker, and the Eldrad Wolfsbane is it's just a weird name. But thanks, Chris. I appreciate it, man. Fajuk says, I'm only 33. Yeah, pussy. Get old. Hurry up. You're slacking. Check the streaming PF2 videos here, Eldrad. Real sessions like most tables around the world, then you will know if it's for you. Thanks, Cristiano. I appreciate that, man. That's we try to be real. I am a sir or a fajuk. Either works, but I am not a ma'am. Well, good to know, sir. There's a couple Brooklyn terms I could throw out, which only Chupa would probably get, but I won't do it. Nefarious Cole. Oh my God, there's someone I haven't seen in a while. Hey, buddy, what's going on? I disagree with one video a week, but it is what it is. I disagree with one video a week. What do you mean by that, Cristiano? I don't always get it. That's true. I don't always get a video out every week. Sometimes I go a week and a half. Did you ever get any sessions of 2D20 Conan and John? Nefarious, I did. I played with some of the guys from Nerds International before they kicked me out, which they had good reason. I wasn't holding up my end of the bargain, and I wish those guys all the best. And they're a good group of guys and gals, and they're a lot of fun. And they have a really cool Discord channel. I did leave the channel. I just thought it was best to break away clean. I was in their broadcasting group, and as far as I know, they're still going strong. But I got to play with some of those guys. Jamie was one of the guys that was running it, and he ran a fantastic session. I had a lot of fun, and you can watch it. They've streamed it. I'm a GM, man. Conan is one of those games I would rather, like most RPGs, I would rather run than play. I'm not a very good player, partly because I'm a glory hound. I'm a media. Hell, look at my channel. I've got over 200 videos up. I'm a video whore. I want all the attention. I want everybody looking at me. I want everyone to listen to what I'm saying. And you got to be a really good GM to hold my attention. Chris knows. He's played in a couple games with me. I don't think not where I was a player though. I think I was always the GM. Let's see. What's Fajuk here saying? One of my players in my Pathfinder game I've started served in the Navy and was over in Desert Storm. What is 2D20 system? Well, thank your friend for his service, Fajuk. 2D20 is by Modifius. If you go back in my archives, you'll see it. I've got a couple videos. Mutant Chronicles, Conan, John Carter, Star Trek, Mutant Chronicles. I already said Mutant Chronicles. I think that's about it. Those are all 2D20. 2D20 is in reference to the game mechanic they use. You prefer published settings or do it yourself? Asking as another forever DM. Yeah, Vecna. It's hard to make out what's up there, but it's mostly all rule books. There's no very, very, very few adventures. I make up my own shit, and I hate to say this. 99% of the time it's in the spur of the moment. I'll have a general consensus of what the adventure is supposed to be. I don't do like Matthew Mercer, who to me is a god, and I'm a critter. I watch his shows. I watch them. I'm almost up to date. I got behind, during the Christmas holidays and stuff. But I don't write hardly anything down. I write NPC names down. I write the name of the tavern. Like in our current Pathfinder game, their main contact in the tavern that they're staying in Absalom is the Broken Leaf. And this just came to me, literally 2 minutes before we started the game. And the proprietor is a half-elf named Leaf who walks with a limp. And to my astonishment and joy, the players picked up on it right away. And let me know if anybody gets it. Yeah, everything else, Cristiano, is for inspiration. Yeah, I read a lot, and I get ideas from other games, and I take it myself. Let's see what a couple of chats are going by here. Yes, Nefarious Cole, you got it correctly on the head. Originally created by the guy who made Fantasy Flight Star Wars and has some similarities. Cristiano says he's a do-it-yourself. Yeah, I'm the same way. Mutant Chronicles 3rd edition would be cool too, with all the sci-fi horror pulp potentials. Nefarious, you guys ever want to play Mutant Chronicles on Discord, I'll run, because it is my favorite, ultimate favorite sci-fi horror RPG. I have been a huge fan of Mutant Chronicles. I've read all the novels. I've read all the comic books. I have all 3 versions of the game. To say it's my favorite is not even a joke. Nefarious says Sandbox is the way to go. Yes, you are correct. Anyone here, not just John, have any advice for how to actually start a Pathfinder 1E game? What, Fajuk, you tired of hearing me talk? What's up, man? It hurts. If I had a feeling, it would be sad. I write a brainstorm and general plot because players have a way to destroy your plans. Yes. I always say it's the proverbial. There's 2 sections in the road, forward and backwards. You plan on the players going forward because they already know what's behind them. But then when it comes time for the actual play session, the players will turn around and go back. Why? To fuck your plans all to hell, because that's what they do. Nefarious says, start small, location-wise, and intimate. I'm not as experienced as GMs as others, though. Yeah, you know what? That's the great thing. What I tell people for GMing is everyone can do it. There's no bad GMs. They're bad games. And the reason I say that is because I don't care how good any of these games are. This one game can be the most amazing game in the world, but none of them are good enough to get off the shelf and run themselves. They need a person to interact and focus that story and put it forward to the players. And the only way you are going to get good at that is by do. The GMing is so rewarding and so much fun. I just get a kick out of knowing that, I have this kind of plot and I know the story's going to go A, B, C, and it just tickles me pink when the fucking players go X, Y, Z. And I go, I would have never thought of that. And so you've got to deal with that on the fly and you've got to adjust. It's just one of those things. That's what I like about it. I like the constant, ever-changing dynamics and the way I love games like any of the Apocalypse Engine games. So Dungeon World or Uncharted Worlds. I love those games because players are their own worst fucking enemies. In games where you give them agency to make their own demise, they'll do it every fucking time. They will feed themselves to the dragon on a silver platter because it'll make for a great story. And if they manage to get out of it, they're super excited and they want to come back for more. And I think if that excites you as a GM, that excitement is going to flow through the game, and the players are going to get it, and they're going to be excited. And that's kind of what I have with my Pathfinder group. I'm really enjoying it. But let me catch up on these notes here. Love the life path character creation in Mutant Chronicles. Takes a long time, though. Yeah, what I do, Nefarious, is, I don't know if you're aware, but Mutant Chronicles has a character generator that one of the fans did, and they support it. Modifius supports it. It's really well done. And if you can, have all your players bring a tablet or a PC to the game, for character creation, or get with them individually so that everybody's not sitting around with a thumb up their ass, you can go through that life path thing, and it's pretty awesome. You just do the random character creation, and it works really well. Let's see. Ran an Arabian Nights 5e game, and the players are interested in going back, trying to decide if I should finally flesh out my own thing or go off the rack with Al-Qadim or Midgard. Vecna, I'm going to tell you right now, Al-Qadim is phenomenal. Love it. I have the box set. It's buried in a box somewhere. But Midgard is fucking phenomenal. Midgard is... Kobold Press knocked it out of the fucking park. They've got a Kickstarter going on right now for another monster manual. Check it out, dude. And if you want to talk offline sometime about it, more than happy to, we can do a Discord live chat, and I can show you some of the pictures and stuff. So Nefarious is telling him right now about it. Yeah, Fajuk, Nefarious is speaking the truth. Vecna, Southlands is very cool, just can't make a decision. Yeah, that's the hardest part, Vecna, is deciding on what you want to do. Yes, Nefarious, you are absolutely correct. And yeah, it seems like you know about it. Vecna, if you're interested in trying one of those 2D20 games, let me know. I'll shoot you a link to some of those character creators. Players like consistency. Yes, they like consistency, but they like twist. They like to be mind-fucked. Pardon my verbiage. And twisting the player's perception of what they perceive reality to be is some of the funnest shit I've ever had in a role-playing game. What's Kobold Press? Has a Kickstarter. What? My wallet cries. Yeah, Fajuk, sorry about that, buddy. If you're going to stay on this channel, you're going to be poor. Sorry, it's just the way it goes. See what Nefarious is saying. All the Kobold 5e stuff is awesome. Yes, Chris, it is. Nefarious is saying, yeah, if I did a 5e campaign, it would have a lot of Midgard setting inspiration at the least. That world book is massive. Kind of reminds me of how the old known world gazetteers were history inspired. Yes. Like I said, the Midgard books are phenomenal, and I have reviews of them. Let me pimp my own channel here. I have reviews of them up on my channel for all of the Midgard stuff. So go back and check it. Yeah, Cristiano, that is excellent. I thought about doing that as well because Savage Rifts is amazing. I love the Rift setting. I just hate the Palladium mechanics. And Mech Warrior Minis for Savage Worlds Rifts is amazing. Yes, and the monster manuals are amazing. They're awesome. Their third monster book is about to come out. I think it's still in Kickstarter, or it just went to Kickstarter. I'm not sure. Adding things to watch list. Sorry, Bob. But hey, I hope you enjoy the videos. Some of my videos are better than others. Some tend to be a little bit generic and me babbling. Someone made a post a couple of weeks ago about I can't remember which game system it was, but they said they heard more about my personal life and only 2 or 3 minutes about the game. So I take all the comments. Believe it or not, most YouTubers do read the comments because, we do this for you guys, for lack of a better word. It's our own narcissism and, the joy of hearing our own voice, but we crave the feedback and the attention that it gives us. So I went back and I watched the video, and it was an older video. It was well over a year and a half old. And I watched the video, and it was a 31-minute video. I babbled for the first 6 minutes and 21 seconds. And from that point to the 27-minute mark, I talked about the game. And then for the last 4 minutes of the video, I went back to babbling about stuff that was upcoming. So I posted back to the guy and said, hey, I'm not quite sure what video you watched, and I broke down those time frames. I said, that seems like a pretty decent amount of content for a 31-minute video. Well over 3/4 of the video was talking about the game. So, and he gave me a check mark. He hit a like on it. So obviously, I don't know if he was just clickbait, if he was trying to get a reaction out of me or whatever. I read all the negative comments. I don't always approve them. The algorithms for YouTube are actually getting really good now. And so if they I don't know how they do it, but they have a way that they'll flag it if it's like, obviously if it's like your video was a piece of shit, you should die, that's going to get flagged and I'll never see it. But if it's like, well, I watched your video and it really wasn't for me, and I thought you babbled too much about this, or, you don't know what you're talking about, YouTube will flag that, and then it'll go in my mail, basically, on my YouTube channel, and I will have to go read that, and then I get to decide if I want to publish that or not. I can tell you I got over 200 videos, well over 200 videos, and I think I've been doing this for just over 2 years. I think I've only had 2 negative really negative comments. That's it. So obviously, it's a small channel. I think there's 630 subscribers. So thank you guys for putting up with me and listening to me babble. So what's going on in the chats here? We're talking about Rifts. The game system was painful. Not sure the Savage Worlds version fixes stuff such as mega damage. Nefarious, I will tell you, yes, it does. Savage Worlds is fast, fun, and furious, and they did a great job. And they just finished up a Kickstarter for the second series of books for Rifts, and then I think one of the stretch goals was to get the first set of books redone with the updated Suede rules, which is the Savage World Adventure Engine or something like that. Still haven't read up much on those Shatter Zone print on demands I've got a while back. So much nostalgia though, seeing those early 90s space punk sketch drawings in it. Nefarious, I don't know if you picked that up because of my video, but I vaguely remember us talking about it. Maybe it was somebody else, but yeah, that those are amazing. And Priestess Intermediary, they got the license to all that stuff, and yeah, they've been pumping it out. Yes, Christiana, you're absolutely correct. You have to have mega damage to damage mega damage armor, and Savage Worlds handles it quite well. They have a really good system. So the Suede version of Rifts is coming out soon. Nefarious, it's already out. You can buy it in PDF and or hardback or softback. I don't think the hardback is available anymore. The hardback was for Kickstarter backers, and again, go in the archive and you can see me unboxing the the Savage Worlds. It's not the previous version of Savage Worlds. They did it and with the Rifts. They got permission from Kevin, obviously, to do it. And yeah, I got it. It's a box. It's underneath my table over here. It's got all the goodies in it. So, oh my God, Fajuk, the hero system I loved. I have all the books, and I tried running it at a con with Chris Eldrad several years ago back in Lake Charles, and I wanted to punch myself in the throat. That's how painful it was. Yeah, Nefarious. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I was pretty sure that was you. Cristiano says very soon PDFs are ready for backers. I didn't back it. I did a video a couple of months back talking about Kickstarters and my stance. I love Kickstarter. I've been burned on several of them. I think everybody has at one point or another. But I strongly feel that companies like Ulysses Spiel, who make my beloved The Dark Eye RPG, Monty Cook Presents, Savage Worlds, Pinnacle Entertainment, I think those guys are big name companies. I think if they want to produce a book, they can just produce a book. They have the capital and the financial means and the clout, the publisher clout, to go to a publisher and say, I want to make book X, and that publisher will make it because they know that the book will sell based on the company's name. In this case, let's pick on Pinnacle, because I always pick on Monty Cook. Pinnacle goes and says they want to make a new Deadlands game. I don't think they need to go to Kickstarter, because they can go to any publisher and say, hey, we want to produce this book. We want to run 20,000 copies, and the publisher will do it, and they'll do pre-orders on their website, and they'll sell. There's no need for a company that big to do a Kickstarter. I think it's kind of an insult to us, because they are manipulating the Kickstarter community to make it a giant pre-order system so that they guarantee that they don't lose money. And while I don't necessarily have a problem with that, I think there are better ways to go about it. Vecna says, I don't know, it seems like any game company is one bad product away from closing the doors. No, I think what it is you have to remember the gaming industry is a luxury commodity. You have to pay your rent or mortgage. You have to pay your car payment and your auto and health insurance. You have to pay those things. You have to. You don't have a choice. You cannot pay them, but there are serious, serious repercussions that most people don't want to endure, so therefore they're going to pay those. So at the end of the day, you only have X amount of money. You pay all these bills that you have to pay, and then, of course, you've racked up credit card debt, because this is where most of us are Americans or Europeans who live off of credit cards. And by the time you get your paycheck, it's already spent because you're in debt. So role-playing games, video games are a luxury. You're supposed to buy those things after you've paid all your bills and your things. And so what happens is these companies do not have the guaranteed income that they want. So, and by that I mean they don't know if they're going to sell 20,000 units or 10,000 units. So what they do is they go to Kickstarter. And because of the way Kickstarter is made, and don't get me wrong, I think it's a great marketing ploy and a great business tool. I think it's being used improperly, and I don't know what the fix is. I really don't, because I know they want to feed their families, they want to pay their mortgage, and in order to do that, and we talked about this earlier, they have to keep producing games, and sometimes when you start spitting stuff out like that, garbage comes out. That's what happened in the 3.5 glut with D&D, which is part of why they went to 4th edition. The OGL head was going to put them out of business. Because there was so much glut out there, and people just were looking at other games. The sales were down, things weren't going as well, and people were losing jobs, and so on and so forth. And so Kickstarter is great in that aspect because it's a guaranteed sale. If you do a Kickstarter, you know exactly how many books you need. You know exactly how much you're going to sell. You know what your print cost is going to be. You know what your overhead is going to be. Hopefully, if you're going to Kickstarter, your product is already pretty much done. You just need to have it printed and maybe finish a little proofreading and layout, which again takes money. But then, you've already got the Kickstarter money, because that's the way it works. You pay up front, you get the product later. They can turn around and give that, $20,000 check to the Chinese or Canadian printing companies who are printing the books, and then the rest is left over as pure profit. And then that company can pay its bills and pay its employees and work on the next big thing. Monty Cook has made this process a gold mine. And go back and watch my video of me and James Gantry from Feral Games talking about Monty Cook's Numenera and all of his Kickstarters. We tally up how much money he's made off of Kickstarter, and it's disgusting. But anyway, let's see. Powered by the Apocalypse, Cristiano is a great system. Dungeon World, if you want a fantasy one. Uncharted Worlds, if you want a good sci-fi one. They're really well done books. Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay Nefarious is probably one of my all-time favorites as well. Unfortunately, I'm not a big fan of we can argue back and forth, third or fourth edition of it that's being done by Cubicle 7. I got mixed feelings about it. I love it for the nostalgia, but I'm not a huge fan of the rules. But I love the game. Zweihander is obviously the bastard child of that game, and Zweihander's phenomenal. It's very dark and gritty and very well done. So Zweihander's pretty solid too. D&D is definitely a middle ground. Does the OGL for 3.5 still exist? Yes. As a matter of fact, it is alive and well, and you can still publish books under the 3.5 OGL. But there's also a 5th edition OGL, and so you have to be very clear and distinct on what you're producing product for. DCC Nefarious is another fantastic system. We talked about it earlier before you jumped on the chat, but yeah, it's great. Nefarious, the stuff that's already on the proverbial slow boat from China, there's nothing you can do about it. Now, the question is when, because it's anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks for a container ship to make its way from China to the U.S. ports. The problem herein lies now with, of course, all the viruses and everything. Is U.S. Food and Drug Administration going to quarantine those ships when they come into port? That's going to be the question. So anybody that has a Kickstarter that they're expecting to get, say, next month or the month after, how much longer are they going to have to wait before they get their product? Because the FDA and the CDC are going to want to go in there and check that stuff and make sure it's not contaminated. Yes, Zweihander is amazing for the cost. I was going to have those guys on the channel, but I could never negotiate anything from them. There's also a gentleman that is working on Star Wars 5th edition. He has a Discord channel. He has a web page up. If I remember, or if anybody wants it, shoot me a message either here in the on the notes here on YouTube when I post this. It'll be posted about an hour after I sign off, or hit me up on Discord and I'll send you a link to his Discord and to his website. Amazing stuff. And this is a guy that's doing it out of his garage. He's not charging anything for it. The production quality is out the roof. Let's see, I'm just reading the notes here, guys. Yeah, Cristiano Zweihander is a Warhammer Fantasy clone, basically. Yeah, I'll agree with you, Nefarious, on the trade-off for the magic there. I don't know what Grim Games is, Cristiano. You have to give us a link or something, buddy. I've never heard of that one. Yes, the Star Wars 5th edition is a homebrew, but the production value is amazing. It's off, like I said, it's off the hook. Bear with me 1 second, guys. I got to get some water. I'll be right back. the tasties. Let's see what else is going on in the chat. Yeah, I don't know what Grim Games is, guys. You have to. That's a new one on me. I haven't heard of it, or maybe I haven't. I just don't remember. Gotta stay hydrated. Never. I have the 5th edition. I think it's 5th edition or 6th edition of Cthulhu. It was a green leather cover with the great old one star on it. I forgot what that's called. Can't remember. Never a fan of Lovecraft. Just wasn't in my wheelhouse. Hey, Fajuk, thanks a lot, sir. And yeah, I appreciate you passing it on to him. And keep up the therapy. I will, man. And thanks for watching and spending some time with this old grognard, man. I do appreciate it. And be safe in whatever you're doing. And keep up the good work, man. And put a link to your channel on mine so I can go check out what you're doing, man. We got a small-time guys got to support each other. So have fun. And thanks for hanging out with us. Appreciate it. I'm assuming Eldrad has signed off as well. It's getting late here. It is 10 p.m. Central Standard Time. Let's see, what is Cristiano saying? I run games that everything has consequences, and the most dangerous beast are humans. Like I said, man, player characters are their worst enemies and are the worst. Nefarious, Simbaroom. I haven't checked out Forbidden Lands. I did look at the Kickstarter, and I did watch a couple of unboxings of it. It just didn't grab me. Simbaroom is another awesome game. I love it. In fact, I'm getting ready to order Simbar, which they just released. Year Zero is pretty cool. Yes, Mutant Year Zero. Vecna is saying Shadow of the Demon Lord is my favorite dark fantasy right now. My good friend Tom is a huge fan of that, and I can't think of the guy's name that wrote it, but he wrote a lot of stuff for D&D and for Star Wars. Robert, I can't think of his name. Anyway, Shadow of the Demon Lord, pretty awesome, I have to admit. It's not in my wheelhouse because, again, I'm not a horror guy. And the game just, it didn't spark me, but it's amazing, and it's done really well. Grimm is very obscure, almost realistic interactions that bring the worst of the social and environmental interactions to the setting. Ooh, okay, that might be a little too deep for me. Robert Schwab, yes, thanks, Vecna. I'll tell you one I did grab that I really enjoyed was Mothership. I did a review of it a couple of weeks ago. It's an homage to like the horror Cthulhu games and to like Aliens and Prometheus and all that. That's a really good one. Yes, definitely. I have the Shadow of the Demon Lord PDF. I have a ton of games in PDF that I don't own the physical books for. Demon's Gate is another phenomenal one that's kind of like Shadow of the Demon Lord, but it's a small time press. I did a review of that one as well. It's pretty amazing. Really well done presentation of the book and everything. For, it's amazing what these guys, basically what I like to term as working out of their garage, are able to produce. Mothership is grim. Yes, Mothership is grim. But I just bought, because they were on sale, I just bought all of the PDFs that are out for it right now. Yes, I'll agree with you, Nefarious. It's another one I would like to run on Discord. We'll have to see if we can get a group of us and play on Discord. I'm at that stage right now where I don't want to run on like Fantasy Ground or Roll20. I'd rather just, set the mood. Everybody have a camera and a microphone, and we just get on Discord and play. I've run a session or two like that for some other friends, and it worked out really well. Something about, I don't know, just hearing the dice roll and the players' interactions. It's the next best thing to sitting around the table. Fantasy Ground and Roll20 are great, if you want to do the tabletop experience with miniatures. But I'm a big fan of just telling the story around the campfire, so to speak. And so it's a lot of work to go into, prepping for a Fantasy Ground or a Roll20 session. And I'm not against it. I don't have that kind of time when I'm running a weekly tabletop game and also doing my YouTube channel. Nefarious says, I'd probably use the mothership resources along with a different D100 system such as Frontier Space. Yeah, I could see that. Frontier Space is pretty solid. I was a fan of the simplicity of Mothership and the layout design. I thought they knocked it out of the park. They did such a good job. And I really, really just enjoyed it. I mean, and it's like a comic book. It was really just the presentation, the design, the art really set the theme and the mood. I like it. Yeah, Nefarious, I'm down with you, buddy. I'll tell you right now, I'm using the Logitech Webcam 920. It shoots 1080p. I'm looking at the stream on my iPad, and I'm crystal clear. You can see every gray hair in that glorious beard of mine. But yeah. Ali, I heard that the barbers don't like you very much. What does that mean, Ali? What are you trying to say? I go to the barber all the time. As a matter of fact, I just cut about 12 inches off about 2 weeks ago. Yes, Nefarious, the character worksheet is if you guys haven't checked out Mothership yet, I think it's pay what you want right now on Drive-Thru RPG. If you don't know about Drive-Thru RPG, shameless plug. I get a lot of my games on there. And then what I do is I get them in PDF, and then if I like them, I go buy the hardback. And also I think I don't know about you guys, but as a GM, I don't think, and I change RPGs like I change my underwear, so I don't think it's fair to expect my players to go out and buy a new game every time I get a whim and want to run something different, which happens quite a bit. Unfortunately, most players like consistency and want to play the same game because they want to see their characters progress. So I'm not even going to go there, Ali. Sorry. Yes, Chupa, I totally dig the artwork in Mothership or Mothership. Very dark, and great inspiration. And well, Chupa or Nefarious, you can go to Lulu Press. And you can have that stuff printed. The other thing is, I don't know what city you live in, but I was living in Sulphur, Louisiana, and we had a little mom and pop print shop that printed books. And I had a book printed. It was 210 pages, and I had them print it, in a hardback for me, and it cost me, I think, all said and done, right around $60. Now, I printed the book and I brought it into them, so that kept the cost down, but it was just for them to press it and and print the cover and everything, and they did that for me, and it came out amazing. So Nefarious, I want the Aliens RPG so bad I can taste it. Coriolis is an amazing game. It's basically Arabian Nights meets what is the TV show? Joss Whedon. Can't think of the name of it now. I'm getting tired. But yeah, Coriolis is kind of the same system as Aliens. Aliens introduces some new mechanics like stress. and different colored dice. I think my only downside to the Aliens RPG right now is the price point. I think it is severely overpriced for what you're getting. And part of that is due to copyright and IP. Basically, what I'm saying is they've got to pay Paramount a fair penny for using the logos and the words and, you know, Alien and all that stuff and some of the images and stuff. So, oh, Cristiano, thank you for sharing that. I will definitely jump on that. Yeah, Nefarious says, no worries, I have a good color laser printer and hole punch. They aren't many pages to the mothership products. No, I think all of them are less. All of them put together are probably less than probably 100 pages. So yeah, you can print it out, and you can scale the print if you have some decent software. So it shouldn't be a problem. I'm a big fan. I thought the recent Mothership Kickstarter was pretty pricey on the printed books, so passed it up. I didn't see it. I missed it for the Kickstarter. So yeah, I don't know anything about that. I just bought the stuff that was on Drive-Thru, and like I said, if anybody on here doesn't know about Drive-Thru RPG, do yourself a favor and go check it out. He's already printed them already, so pretty cool, Nefarious. I'll definitely have to check that out. But yeah, some of these Kickstarters, I was talking earlier, picking on Monty Cook and Savage World Pinnacle. I don't like it when these big name, and I love Ulysses Spiel's, The Dark Eye, but they go to Kickstarter. And the only reason I'll cut them some slack is because they are a German-based company, and they don't know how their product is going to sell here in the U.S. But they've just finished up, I think, their third Kickstarter, third or fourth. They all did gangbuster. They all made a decent amount of money. And the products are gorgeous. So I would think now I think they should be able to produce their own product and not have to go to Kickstarter. I mean, I like Kickstarter. I like to support small games. In fact, I've got one. Hold on. If I can reach it. This was the very first game I got off of Kickstarter when I found out about Kickstarter. So I don't know if there's a date on this. Oh, look what I was using for a bookmark. Pretty funny. Since we were talking about that earlier. James Wood did Slayers of Arceus, 2014. I got this. 2015, I think, maybe. This is super simple. It uses the Brutal system, and Brutal is just basically an acronym for his system that he created. And the art in here is nothing to write home about, but the layout in it is consistent. I have a review of it up on my channel, but this to me is what Kickstarter is right here. This is a guy working out of his garage on his personal computer. No fancy editor, no fancy software. A friend of his did the art. And then he commissioned that friend and was able to pay him. I mean, you can tell that was done on a personal computer. That's nothing amazing. You can probably use Campaign Cartographer. But it's a decent game. So I've never ran it. I never had enough people that showed interest in it. And to be honest, the system didn't quite sparkle me. But it was pretty cool. But I mean, look at the art. I mean, this art is nothing to write home about. But it's damn sure better than what I can do. And I gave James many props for doing this, because this, again, throwing yourself out there for people to criticize, and there's 1,000,001 800-pound gorilla sitting behind a keyboard, and there's very few of us that will give an honest opinion. Is this the game for me? No. Will I ever play this game? No. But I bought it because I wanted to support this guy, because I liked what he had to say. And I liked the basic mechanics of the game. Not enough to run it. I'll never probably ever run this. But it's nice to see it on my game shelf, and then maybe every once in a while pick it up and flip through it and read it and remember the nostalgia that I with my hard-earned money, helped support this guy make his dream come true. And I think that's cool. So I give much props to people that do this kind of stuff, because it's not easy. Because for every one decent review there was of this game, there were 5 shit can reviews. Oh, this guy needs to go back to writing school, or needs to learn layout design or whatever. And I'm like, it's the same thing like leaving negative comments on YouTube channels. And then I go look at the person's YouTube channel, because in order to leave a comment you have to have a YouTube account, and they don't have any videos posted. Do you know how much work and effort goes into making one of these videos? It's not easy. If it was, everybody would be doing it. Zine Quest, then, Mr. Mean. I just got to me. Yeah, I know about Zine Quest. I've seen Miguel on my channel. He's in my Discord a lot. The guy who sent me the microphone. He's pointed out quite a few of them to me. They're just not my cup of tea. They're too random. They're too out there. I think it's awesome that these people are doing it. I mean, Lord knows I could never have the chutzpah to do it. But I think it's really cool. Solar Blades and Cosmic Spells has a ton of tables and such for a space opera setting. It's pretty cool and doesn't break the bank. I've heard of it, but I haven't really seen it. So that's something I'll definitely want to check out. Yeah. So yeah, I have much respect and admiration for these solo people that put out this product for the rest of us to consume. And I guess it's I don't know if I'm just apathetic or if I'm just blasé about it, but I think it takes a lot of effort and a lot of heart to put part of you into something like this, because this isn't WotC, this isn't, Fantasy Flight. This is one guy with maybe a couple of his friends that play tested this for a couple of years and thought, wow, I'll go to Kickstarter and I'll make a book. And then you go in there and you read the comments, and some of them are pretty cruel, and it's just not cool because this guy put out a cool product. I mean, it's never going to win a Nobel Prize or anything, or a Pulitzer, but he's got a book in print. I don't. So I think this is cool. Hey, Joshua, thanks. Yeah, catch us later. Yeah, Nefarious, I heard about it. I have, what is it, White Star, which is an OSR for space opera, basically. It has solar swords, which we can just call lightsabers. I think it's called White Star, and it had a companion book. I don't remember what it's called. I got it, and I gotta say, I quite enjoyed it. Believe it or not, very simple. Yeah, Nefarious, I'll say the same thing. Definitely get some cool ideas and inspiration from indie games and the things that people, come out of their brain, their brain hole. And you have to respect that. You don't have to admire it, but I think you should respect it because, like I said, they have a book printed. I don't have any inclination how to do it. I could probably figure it out. I know enough people in the industry that I could probably go to somebody and say, hey, I want to write a book. Will you help me? And they would say, yeah, sure. I mean, but that's not my wheelhouse. It's not what I'm about. Golgotha, that's funny because that's one of the main villains in the Mutant Chronicles universe, Golgotha. Supplement. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. A black hack called Golgotha. That's pretty good. Well, yeah, once upon a time, D&D was an indie game. Amen. And remember, like I said, I'm a grognard. I went to Gen Con way back in the early 90s when, or late 80s, Gary Gygax was there. It was during the time frame that him and Dave Arness were not friends because if you know the history of D&D, things didn't quite go so well for those two guys, and it kind of ruined their friendship. They did get back together as friends later on, and then I think Gary passed shortly after that. But I was at Gen Con, and I got the privilege of meeting Gary. He was a super nice guy. I got him to sign my my original D&D pamphlets, because if you go back long enough, D&D, when it first came out, was pamphlets. There were no dice. It used chits. It used pieces of paper that you had to cut up and you put in a cup and you draw out random numbers. So that's old school there. And I got Gary to sign those, and I have those. They're sealed in a laminate thing so that the no oxygen can get to them, like a comic book thing. And amazing. Miguel F. Santiago. That name sounds really familiar. I don't know why that name sounds familiar. Is that the person who wrote Micro Adventures? I don't know. Cool. Well, I'll definitely check it out, Cristiano. What was I saying? I already lost my train of thought. Don't get old, kids. Don't get old. This is why I'm the GM, because I forget things, and so I get the players to remind me so I don't have to remember the stuff. Just producing your own PDF. Like I said, James Gantry, the owner of Feral Games Inc., guy can spit games out, like there's no tomorrow. John Wick, my old roommate from John Wick Presents, Houses of the Blooded, Legends of the Five Rings, Seventh Sea. Guy used to be my roommate. Guy can spit out 10,000 words like it's nobody's business. I watched him break a keyboard. He typed so fast. He had to go out and buy a new keyboard. Well, that, and I threatened to break his fingers if he kept typing at 3 o'clock in the morning while I had to get up and go to work the next day. John Wick is one of those prolific writers that a guy can spit stuff out of his brain hole. And Seventh Sea, to be honest, is amazing. It's a very cool setting. Unfortunately, he made some bad business decisions that came back to haunt him, and I think all of his Kickstarter people are very disenfranchised with him right now, and I can't blame them, because he overpromised and underdelivered, and then his company went bankrupt. Vecna, my history with John Wick is I was living in Arizona, and I was going through a horrible divorce, and I was living in my house. And the house was actually my ex-wife's, but I was living in it because she had moved out and got an apartment, because we had at the time he was, I think, 7, or he had just turned 8, my oldest son. And so she thought it better for her to move out and me to keep the house for the stability of our son, which at the time made sense. And I had a good job, so I could afford the mortgage and everything, but I thought, wait a minute, I got this big old house in Arizona, and it's just me and my son. Why don't I get a roommate? And then a good friend of mine, Jesse Foster, he's a Men in Black, which is the demo team arm of Steve Jackson's games. And he had somehow was in touch with John Wick, and I didn't know who John Wick was. It's not true. I knew who John Wick was because I'd gone to Gen Con, and he was there at Gen Con working for Aldrich Entertainment, doing Legends of the Five Rings, which I was a huge fan of. And so I knew of him, and I was kind of a fanboy. But I was also a little bit older, a little bit wiser at that time. Well, long story short, Jesse came to me and said, "Hey, you're still looking for a roommate?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Well, this guy John Wick." And I was like, "John Wick? You mean like John Wick from Legends of the Five Rings?" He's like, "Yeah, I've been in talk with him," because Jesse used to go to all the conventions and stuff, and so he had met John Wick, and they'd become fast friends and blah, blah, blah. And so he's like, but he wants to move to Arizona. I'm lining him up with a job, a full-time day job. John Wick had gone through a divorce and everything, and just needed to get out of, and I don't even remember where he was living, but he needed to get out. And so he came, long story short, he came and lived with me, and I charged him $450 a month plus half the utilities. And because I knew he had a job, because he was going to work for my friend Jesse. And so he was my roommate for a couple of months until my ex-wife went stupid and wanted to jack up the rent and everything. And I was like, fuck this, I'm out. and me and John went our separate ways, and from there. But super nice guy. You know, very. John's very political. I'm not. John has never served a day in the military, and one quick way to get my hackles up is to talk shit about the military. And he's done that. He's very, very, very political, and he loves to argue. If he finds out what pushes your buttons, he will push them just to get an argument out of you. And it's just the kind of guy he is. And I'm not saying he's a bad guy. He's just not the kind of guy I want to hang around. And so we had a couple heated words, and I thought discretion was the better part of valor. And so I thought, I was already upset with my ex-wife and wanted to move out. And so that was just the catalyst to make it happen. And so I told my ex-wife, I'm losing my roommate. I can't afford the place. I got to go. And so it all worked out in the end. But John, I see John at conventions, and we're always cordial to each other. And I gave him a place to stay. I gave him a place to stay when he needed it, and and so I feel like I did my good deed. Nefarious says, so that's my little anecdotal story of John Wick. Nefarious says, speaking of prolific writers, Wiggy, Wade Williams, is ill. I kind of heard an internet rumor about that, but I don't know how true that is. I was not a fan of League of Gothic horror series at all. It just didn't. Again, not a huge horror fan, not a Gaslight fan or Turn of the Century fan, but I am a huge fan of Hellfrost, which was his claim to fame. I think that's what made him where he's at today, I think. And I have all of the Hellfrost books. And let's see, Cristiano says John Wick is suffering from some kind of mental illness. Yes, he was taking medications even when he lived with me. He had went through a horrible divorce with his wife, who was also in the game industry. And she also worked at Aldrich Entertainment. And I guess, and I don't know if the rumor is true, it's strictly rumor, but my understanding is that they, for lack of a better word, stole the Legends of the Five Ring system out from underneath him and then booted him out of Aldrich. And so he had nowhere to go, and I just happened to have space in my house, and so he came to live with me. But he was being treated for several mental conditions, and he was on meds and stuff like that. Cristiano, I don't know about the killed the dog and went on a killing spree. I assume with the LOL you're being silly, and that's okay. But I don't think mental illness is anything to kind of joke about. I know you mean no harm by it, but mental illness has struck my family as well, so it's not a joking point in my book. But yeah, John, as far as I know, is doing well, and he signed on with, what's the name of the company that did Elric and Cthulhu? Can't think of the name of their company right now, but he is working with them. He's working with them now, and I think they're trying to get the rest of his 7th Sea stuff printed so that the Kickstarter backers can get their product and stuff. So that's super cool. And that's good for John, and I wish him nothing but the best. John Wick, the movie. Gotcha, sir. Sorry, I get you now. No harm, no foul. That is kind of funny when you put it that way. Chaosium. Thank you, Bob. John Wick is actually working with Chaosium now. He was always friends with those guys because they were based out of California as well. So that's good. Hellfrost needed some cleaning up. I don't know. For what it was, I thought it was great. I enjoyed it for what it was. Like I said, I don't know if I know he's talking about a second edition to come in line with the new Suede rules. So we'll see how that goes. Will I back it? I don't know. I already own so much of the first edition stuff. This guy's a 7th Sea backer. Well, then, Vecna, you can probably tell us better. what's going on there, but that's what I had heard, is that he had signed on with Chaosium, and part of the deal was to help publish the Seventh Sea, the rest of the like 7. I guess there were supposed to be 10 books in the series, and it was all supposedly crowdfunded via Kickstarter. He made a crap ton of money, and then unfortunately, I think right at a year or less than a year later, his company folded. He had to lay everybody off, and that's just mismanagement of money. Nefarious says a new Suede Hellfrost would be cool. Yeah, I agree it would be, but I don't think I would back it. Maybe I'd back it at the PDF level, because I have so many of the PDFs or the physical books already. I have all 3 of the core books and the religion book, and I have all of the PDF gazetteers that they came out with. So I'm not quite sure that is something I would want to back. I don't know. That's just me. But then again, who knows? If the price is right and it's that, I might do it. Have I checked out the new RuneQuest set? No, I have the old RuneQuest. I have 2 different versions of RuneQuest. I heard they were doing a new version, but I don't know anything about it. It has not come up on my radar, and nor has anybody asked me to review it. So, I don't know. So yeah, Bob says there's 2 books for the 7th Sea, and then 3 or 4 for the Katai books coming. So that's cool, and I believe they're being produced by Chaosium, like I said, and that was the deal that John had made with them to, get the books out to his backers, and rightly so, because it was already paid for, and I think that's horrible. Yeah, there's nothing worse than a shitty print run, and there's been a lot of game companies that have had that problem, and it sucks, especially when you spend that much money. I had, if you go to one of my earlier videos, I had backed the DCC 4th printing, and I got the cool black cover with the gold foil embossed thing, and it looks like somebody slid it across the table while the ink was wet, and it smeared. First I thought it was like a tear in the leatherette cover, but it wasn't. It was just like a smear or something like that. And I reached out to them, and they were super cool, but unfortunately they're like, we don't have any more of those books because there's only a couple printed. And I talk about it in my Kickstarter review of the box unboxing, and it was super cool. But they sent me another set of dice and I think a couple pencils. But I'm also part of their road crew. I run games at conventions, and it's one of the fun things I love. I love running DCC at conventions. I just poured some. Yeah, definitely a crunchy system, which is why it's not in my library. I'm just not a fan of super crunchy systems. I say that, and I have games like what is it over there? Fragged is just the crunchy as shit system. I don't get it. I can't wrap my brain around it. Has the stream crashed? Oh no, it was just me. Yeah, they don't know. I'm glad the watered down glue worked down the spine though. Because yeah, there's nothing worse than spending your hard-earned money on a book that craps out on you. But what else we got to talk about, guys? We've been on for quite a while now. Looks like we've been on for 2 hours and 25 minutes, or just under that. Because there was a couple minutes of me setting up the stream that it actually wasn't streaming, because that's just how it works. But I am fastly running out of steam. So unless somebody's got something they want to talk about, I might just call it a night. Nefarious says Frag seemed like a crunchy miniature skirmish game to me. Yeah, I agree. But again, that was a game that went to Kickstarter. A guy was running it out of his garage in his house. I mean, he literally had the books printed and shipped to his house, had to park his car out on the street so that he could fit the pallets in his garage so that he could ship them all up and mail them out. So it's a one-man army. So I didn't back it on Kickstarter, but I did buy the book when it came out at my favorite local game store at the time. When I was living in Beaumont, I drove to Humble, Texas, to a place called Ogre Games, and I bought it from there. And I'm glad I have it in my collection. Will I ever run it? No. Is it a pretty book? Oh, hell yeah. I don't. It's a D6 system, and I don't like it at all. And I can't wrap my head around it. And like you said, it's overly crunchy for the sake of being crunchy, and I don't think that makes a good system. But I know people that love it. My good friend Scandal, he streams a lot of Warframe. He's a huge fan of it. He's backed all of the Kickstarters, and he's got all the various flavors because they came out with a fantasy version as well. And the books are beautiful. I will share my zines with you, Mr. Mean, with Google Drive. Oh, thank you, Cristiano. That's very nice of you, sir. And Nefarious, I'm in the same boat, buddy. I live in a small town. It's not super small, but it's a small city, Duluth, Minnesota. And we have three gaming stores here. One of them is predominantly a card shop. The other one is a self-righteous prick, and I refuse to shop at his store. I won't mention any names, but and then the third one is actually in Wisconsin. It's just over the bridge, and it's Level Up Games, and they are super awesome. But all they carry is a smattering of D&D books, hardly anything current, and I think they have the GM screen for Pathfinder 2nd Edition. That's it. They carry mostly 40K and a couple board games. I don't know how they stay in business. I really don't, because they don't have shit for stock. But they do have a big, huge 2-story building, and you can go there and you can play games, and they don't charge you anything. Unlike the other local store in Duluth that charges you to come in there and play because they're a bunch of pricks. Again, I won't mention any names, but I'm sure if you look, you can figure out the store I'm talking about, because there's only one in Duluth. Well, there's two. There's not Samurai Comics. What is it? Rogue Robot. Cool little store. It's kind of in a basement, believe it or not. You have to walk down some stairs below street level, and then you go into the store. And he has a smattering. And I haven't been in his store in quite a while, so maybe I'll take a ride over there tomorrow, because I could literally walk to it from my house. It's pretty close. But it's a real small mom and pop shop. Nefarious says, can't complain though, they have a decent selection of board games and war games. Yeah, Level Up Games has quite a decent selection of board games, and they'll get anything you want. And what they do for me is they'll give me the Amazon price. So I want to get the latest box expansion for Necromunda from Games Workshop. It's like a $280 box set. But it comes with a crap ton of scenery, everything I would need, so that if I wanted to get one of my friends into Necromunda, all they would have to do is just show up. I would have all the terrain, all the miniatures, all the dice, everything they would need to play. But he when I'm ready to pull the trigger on it, he's going to give it to me for the Amazon price, which is about $230, and it's been out for a couple of months now, so it may be even cheaper. So he's going to hook me up with that when I'm ready to do that. So can't complain, as Nefarious says. That's a cool deal that they're willing to do that for me. So I just wish they carried Army Painter paints. They're a straight Games Workshop paint store, and I'm not a fan of Games Workshop's paints. I do have a couple, though, because their Blood for the Blood God paint is awesome if you're looking for a nice, vibrant red. We have two, Nefarious says, we have two game stores. The other one is bigger, but they hardly stock many games, mostly just a huge amount of game tables. It's near the college, so I guess that their game sales is a bit limited. Yeah, I like I said, I don't know how the Level Up games, because they never have anything new or hot. They make their money off of Magic cards, because that's what every game store now does, is they buy, sell, and trade Magic cards, and they also make their money off of Warhammer. They do, I'm sure, a shit ton of business in pre-orders for Warhammer sales. And they have a shitload of tables. for people to come in and play miniatures games, and then they have a bunch of tables for tabletop gaming, and then of course they hold Magic tournaments and all that fun, all the card games. So that's how they're staying in business, the Magic tournaments and the Magic games. But yeah, nothing wrong with that, man. It's good for them, and if it keeps them in business, I'm all for it. But I just wish they carried more. Like I would love to walk in there and see these sitting on a shelf. That would just tickle me pink. But probably never happen because they don't carry. I think they've got one copy of the Pathfinder 2nd Edition rules, and it's on a cart on the other side, not even close to the role-playing game. So I'm like, who's going to see that? Yeah, Nafar, is what I just said. Same thing. So yeah, it's weird, man. And business, game store owners are a weird bird, man, because most of these people open this business for the love of the hobby, but they have the business acumen of a gnat, and that's why you see gaming stores come and go. I think people forget that it's a business, and you can't. I remember a game store owner in Arizona. He was always on the verge of closing because every freaking week when he got product in, he did one of these. One for me, one for the store. One for me, one for the store. You can't make profit that way, so. Thanks, Rebel. Pacific Northwest, nice. He's asking if, because I'm from Brooklyn, he says, is the classic New York accent in danger of going extinct? Yeah, I think so. I've lived all over the states, man. And my Brooklyn comes out when I get really excited. I don't get drunk anymore because I don't drink. But when I get super excited, and certain words like wada, quota, it comes out. So, but not too often. And I've lived down south. I've lived in Texas. I lived in California. A fun anecdotal story here, true story. I get off the plane. I'm fresh out of boot camp for Cape May, New Jersey, for the Coast Guard. I'm 18 years old. This is many, many years ago. I'm 18 years old, and I get off the airplane in Oakland, California, and I'm waiting for the USO bus to come by and pick me up to take me to my duty station in Alameda, California, for the Coast Guard. And I'm standing there. I'm in shorts and a t-shirt. It's 4th of July weekend. I'll never forget it. And this guy, now, in all fairness, this is 30 years ago. I'm lean, mean fighting machine. I think I'm 6 foot, and I was probably about 190, 195. Maybe I had just broken 200. I mean, I was a monster. And I'm in shorts and a t-shirt. I had just come back from Brooklyn from visiting my family on leave, right? You finish your boot camp, you get 2 weeks of leave, you get to go home. So I go home, spend with my family, and then I fly to California. I'm literally just got off the plane. I'm standing there. I got my rucksack on my back, and I'm waiting for the USO bus to come. And there's this little guy. He was probably 5'6", 5'7" at best, in a 3-piece suit. It's 4th of July in the Bay Area. It's hot. Not too muggy, but it's hot. And I just remember this guy. He looks over at me, kind of with this. Well, he looked up because he was short, but he looked up to me with kind of this. He had the fucking asshole sunglasses on, and he looked at me kind of like, oh God, I hate to ask this dirtbag for the time, but he goes, but it was the way he said it and the inflection in his tone that just sparked me the wrong way. But it was simple enough. All he asked was, hey, you got the time? And if you're from the East Coast, if you're from Manhattan or Brooklyn or Staten Island, you know the attitude. And I'm telling you guys, without missing a beat, without blinking, I looked at this guy and I go, what am I, a fucking clock? And this guy looked at me like I killed his dog. I mean, you'd think I stabbed his mom with a kitchen knife in front of him, and he like grabbed his bags. He thought I was going to rape him or something, and he walked off the other way. And I realized at that point that I was not long for California. It was not my place. I wind up living there for well over almost 20 years. But yeah, so that's my little piece of Brooklyn. And my wife teases me because when my hair's down, I look like an axe murderer. And she says people walk on the other side of the street to get away from me. And I'm like, I'm a big teddy bear. I'm the nicest guy in the world. Cristiano says my store is Amazon and drive-through RPG. Yeah, no stores alive. Yeah, Amazon's been really good to me. I'm a Prime member, and that 2-day shipping is, in some of the cases now on certain stuff, it's 1-day shipping. So it's amazing. Nefarious says he worked a second job for a friend who owned a sports collectible store in the late 90s. He's pretty much had to switch over to doing Magic the Gathering to stay in business. Yeah, totally. I can see that. So I'm assuming all the LOLs are for my little anecdotal story there. So I'm glad you guys got a chuckle out of that. It's pretty funny. And Mr. Mean, yeah. The Mr. Mean tag is another funny story. That happened about 20 years ago. Yeah, because about 19 years ago. My son was 2 or 3. You look like a highway murderer. Thank you, Nefarious. I'll be sure to tell my wife that one. She'll probably agree. We were sitting. Me and Brian were in California. My oldest son Jonathan was about 2, because we had moved to Arizona when he was 3. So he was about 2 years old, and we're sitting outside Borders, which was a prominent bookstore like Barnes and Nobles. It had a cafe, sold books and magazines and stuff. And we're sitting right outside the front door of the store, drinking coffee, talking about role-playing games like we often did every Saturday morning, with my son sitting there in the chair next to me, playing with his toys or whatever. And this teenage kid, he couldn't have been more than 16 years old, with his little girlfriend, comes out, and he's dropping the F. The manager's basically kicking him out of the store because they're just being little hellions. And he's F-bombing everything, F this, F you, that you can't, don't touch me. And the manager was elderly, not elderly, but, at that time I was in my mid-30s, and she was probably in her 50s. So, in that case, she was elderly to me. And she was being very polite, and she, obviously wasn't losing her temper, and she was telling the kid to leave. And they're literally 6 feet from our table, the front door is right there. And he's F-bombing this, and the girlfriend's kind of being very demure, and she's trying to walk out, but he's being very disrespectful to this lady. And, at the time I was still a cop, and I put my dad voice on, and I was sitting down. I didn't even stand up. I was like, hey, why don't you watch your mouth? My kid is sitting right here. I don't want to hear all that shit come out of some punk kid's mouth. And you need to be a little more respectful to the lady. She's just trying to do her job. So this kid, and it was the tone in my voice, the Brooklyn and the cop thing came out. And my buddy Brian's sitting right next to me. He's literally in the chair next to me. And and I tell this kid I don't want to hear all that because my 2-year-old son is right here. And the kid, I don't know if it was the inflection in my voice or the demeanor, but scared the shit out of him. And he literally, yes, sir, I'm sorry, sir. And, he just bowed his head and he walked away. And my buddy Brian turns over to me and he goes, man, you're just fucking mean. You're like Mr. Mean. And it stuck. And so when I was trying to come up with my YouTube channel, I was like, Mr. Mean. Yeah, Mr. Mean. I think that's... And so it's been my nom de plume for many, many years. So, yeah. Beard 6'3", 220 with a full beard and long hair. They tend to stare at me if I'm wearing a trucker coat and boots in the winter. Funny. That's right, man. Well, you see, I'm even weirder because I'm not 6 foot. I'm about 235. I'm a little chunky. I got the man boobs, but I'm warm in the winter. That's why my wife likes me, and I'm furry. But I don't usually wear heavy coats. So I have a nice coat from Duluth Trading Company that I just bought a couple weeks ago. And then I'm not one of those people. I'm always hot. And so I don't wear big coats like I'm Jason. Well, Nefarious, you might be, buddy. Son. That gave me some insight. Well, I'm glad I could help, buddy. So yeah, definitely us big guys got to stick together. And I'm just one of those thick guys, you know. I'm not big. I'm not small. I'm just thick. My wife says that's what she likes about me. Like, there's substance to me. Like, she pushes me and I don't move. She bounces off, so she thinks it's funny. I don't know why. But yeah, I think a lot of it's attitude. I definitely, I think I come across, in women they call it resting bitch face. I don't know what we call it for guys. Resting asshole? I don't know. But yeah, evidently I have that look that just says don't mess with me, don't fuck with me, or whatever. I don't know. I personally, I'm a giant teddy bear. I'm a big pussy cat. I love to laugh. I love to make people laugh. I'm silly. I have my son in stitches all day long, man. I tickle him. I toss him up in the air. I spin him around. There's nothing better than being a dad. So, and I take full advantage of it, you know. But I rule with an iron fist. When I say no, it's no. And I don't... We were in the movie theater tonight, and there was a couple behind us, and the guy kept kicking my wife's chair. My wife's this Southern belle. She's the sweetest thing you've ever met. She's demure. She's quiet. She turned around and gave that guy a look like, eat shit and die. And the guy was like, sorry. I didn't have to say a word. But maybe that's me rubbing off on her. I don't know. But then... the lady kept talking through the movie, and I just turned around and I said, would you shut the fuck up? Didn't hear another word out of him for the rest of the movie. So I guess it works. Gotta smile regularly in public or they stare, right? Yeah. Well, you know, it's I remember years ago I was in San Francisco with a good friend of mine, and the Motorola flip phones had just come out. And my buddy was across the street. We were meeting up for lunch. We were both working in San Francisco. And so I had called him on my Motorola, and there was some guy in a suit, and he was, he looked at me. I was in jeans and a t-shirt, and he looked at me like I'm a dirtbag. He was like 6'2", 6'3", but he was really slender, and slick back hair and the power business suit on. And he looked at me, he just kind of gave me that look like, oh, look at this biker, scumbag or whatever. And so I just pulled out my flip phone and I called my buddy Jay, and he answers, and I'm like, I don't care what you say. If she's not dead by 10 o'clock tonight, I'm going to have your ass in a meat grinder. And this fucking guy looked at me, and he walked across, he broke the red light. He just wanted to get away from me. And I just thought that was funny. So maybe that's probably not the nicest thing to do, but hey, keep them straight. Chupa, Mrs. Mean. Yep. She's got to be tough, man. Look who her husband is. And I'm scared of her. I'm not going to lie. I'm scared. She's 5'1". I can pick her up with one arm. She scares me. But that's a good husband. I know where my bread is buttered. So as the old saying goes. But I was fortunate enough to marry my best friend. So you can't go wrong there. But guys, I think it's getting late and I'm getting tired. So this has been really fun. Probably do it again. We had, I think at one time our max was like 8 or 9 people in the chat. So I know it's getting pretty late for a lot of people, so I appreciate you staying up late with me and listening to me babble. And I learned some things, and looking forward to getting some of those zines from you, Cristiano. That would be super cool. Chupa, you stay cool, brother. Nefarious, always awesome to have you in the channel. And guys, thanks for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little depressed. I had an awesome date night with my wife tonight, but last night was supposed to have been Pathfinder, and we had to cancel kind of at the last minute. And I was a little depressed knowing that I wasn't going to be able to game, last night or next week. So I was going to miss 2 weeks of gaming, and I was a little bummed. So this was very, very uplifting for me. So thank you guys. We got to talk about some cool games. And guys learned a little bit more about Mr. Mean, so I appreciate it. And thanks for listening. And I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. Thanks, Rebel. Appreciate you watching. And as always, everybody, like, subscribe, and as always, remember, Mr. Mean says, be nice.